Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do? Or...
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day. And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show, Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Hope you are well. The Advocates, as always, present the Monty Show. I love that commercial we just played because you see the personal level of service that you get from the Advocates, whether it's on a FaceTime call, on an online chat. No matter how you want to communicate, the Advocates are ready to serve you. Get to theadvocates.com for clear, risk-free advice. You can chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Okay. I am ready. I am ready for the mea culpa. So many of you were upset about our Big 12 football takes yesterday. So many of you said that we were wrong about Big 12 football and that Big 12 football is getting multiple teams into the college football playoff and that BYU football is going to the college football playoff and BYU football has no issues and that Aaron Roderick is just this unbelievable play caller and that I was so bad and so harsh and over the top about BYU football. I'm here for it today. I am here for the discussion. I am here to say, okay, maybe for the first time, and I think this would be the first time ever on the show, maybe I was wrong.
Right.
Because
people are misinterpreting what I'm saying.
Yeah, Brett McMurphy says that multiple Big 12 teams, that would be more than one, for those of you a little slow this morning.
Right.
More than one Big 12 team is going to the college football playoff, according to Brett McMurphy. And if Big 12 football puts two teams into the college football playoff, and in this case, it would be BYU and Iowa State going to the college football playoff, I think that, I would be completely wrong. And again, history on this show happens regularly.
Right.
Am I wrong? Was I wrong about the Big 12? And here's where I come down on it. I think that the Big 12 is a good, not great college football conference in 2024. I think, as I said yesterday, my opinion is unchanged, that this league lacks a major brand. I think, yesterday when we were talking about the Big 12, I think my point that this has been a bad football season for the Big 12 is spot on. Now, I say it's been a bad season because you have Utah, Oak State, TCU, Texas Tech, all disappointing. Baylor is still bad, all disappointing. Does that mean that K-State, BYU, Iowa State, does that mean what they've done is not impressive and is not significant? Certainly not. But when we talk about where the Big 12 is as a conference, I will stand my ground. I'll stand on business. And I will say I don't see a path to get two teams in to the college football playoff. I think, number one, folks, it is October 22nd. We have 6 weeks to go in this season where we're just now halfway through the season. And I think if you look at what's left ahead for Iowa State, for K-State, mainly they have each other left on the schedule. You look at BYU with so many difficult games ahead. I do not believe that there will be, at the end of this season, an undefeated team in the Big 12. And Jake, I think that spells the end of any hopes to get two teams into the college football playoff for the Big 12.
Certainly, and I think the reaction to, these comments yesterday in our comments section, like all the negativity, all the people saying, oh, well, you guys just hate BYU, you hate the Big 12, like the list goes on. But the reality of the situation is that Big 12 fan is incredibly emotional about the state of their conference right now, as they should be for the things he just said. Right? Like when you look at the Big 12, there's obviously a lot of storylines, a lot of teams that maybe are not performing to the standard that most people would have thought they would have been performing to this point in the season. And then you've got clubs like BYU and Iowa State who maybe weren't chosen to be the front runners in the league that are having awesome seasons and are far overachieving the expectations. And I think the Big 12 has always been a conference that has this sort of little brother complex. Is harsh, and I don't think that's what it is, but I do think the Big 12 has always been chasing the SEC and the Big 10. The Big 12 has always been fighting for its relevancy in college football, and I think when you look at the conference this year, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. That's exactly the conversation. Hey, shouldn't it be the case that the Big 12 right now on Action Network, Brett McMurphy's playoff predictor, shouldn't the Big 10 or the Big 12 really have 4 teams on that graph right now, being that we still have 6 weeks left in the college football season? Shouldn't it be the case that when you look at this graph, shouldn't it be the case that Oklahoma State's on this graphic? Shouldn't it be the case that Tech or TCU or any of these other programs should be on this graphic at this juncture? Not to say that the Big 12 is getting 4 in. Nobody's saying that. But at this juncture, you would think there would be more of a presence the way the Big 10 and the SEC have it, and that's just not the case.
But listen, I don't know, and I don't advocate for illicit illegal drug use on this show, but I'm not sure what you just said. Oak State's terrible. Utah's terrible.
The expectation is that Utah and Oklahoma State were going to be college football playoff contenders at the beginning of this season.
I would agree.
Everyone talked about that. Everyone knew that heading into the season. So the idea that it's BYU and Iowa State, and then the idea that people want to say that we were overly negative yesterday, and we were hating on BYU, and God, why are you guys being so negative? We're not being negative. I'm watching this conference sit here and not make money, while the SEC and the Big 10 are out here just raking in Brinks trucks worth of cash through the playoffs.
And I also think if you look at the Big 10, I don't think it's a lock the Big 10 gets 4 in. I don't. We talked about this yesterday. I don't know that there's a path to get 4 teams from the Big 10 in. I think they're having a really difficult season outside of. I think your only locks here, if we're being honest, are Ohio State and Oregon. I think those teams are far and away the best teams in the league.
I think Penn State's going to have to mess it up not to get in,
though. But if you look at that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're in the grand scale of things.
Yeah.
And as again, I could be wrong. It's never happened on the show before. I'm kidding. Obviously, Brett McMurphy has Penn State in.
Right.
But if you look at Penn State's path, and here's very simply what I ask you. Do you look at Penn State as a football team and you just say to yourself, man, that's as good of any football team in the country? Well, how do you say that when they're not even top 5 in offense? That they've scored 81 points, and the rest of, I don't know, Ohio State, who's not had a great offensive season so far, is at 104. Hell, Wisco's at 138. And I would remind you, they still have Ohio State. They have to, in my opinion, win, obviously, this weekend at Wisconsin. But it's at Wisconsin and at Ohio State, or home for Ohio State.
Let's presume
those are the only 2 games of consequence, or this graphic you're looking at becomes a reality.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's presume that Penn State's a one-loss team.
They don't get into the college football playoff.
Well, I don't know how they don't get into the college football playoff, because a one-loss team should be a gimme at this point.
I think when you look at and this is where the AP poll comes in.
I agree.
How is LSU 8th? Am I the only one who does? I don't see the 8th best team in the country when I look at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Iowa State's better than LSU. I think that when I look at, is Alabama really the 15th best team in the country?
I think they're a top 10 team, but I think the problem is, and you guys, if you watch, ESPN or any of if you just pay attention to the talking head shows, not to say you got to invest in them, but just what are they talking about? They're all talking about, hey, Alabama doesn't present right now as a college football playoff
What does
team.
Alabama have to do to get in? That's the question.
Yeah.
If you flip on ESPN, you flip on Sirius, you flip on, nobody flips on Fox for sports talk, but if you make that mistake,
Because it's garbage.
what does Alabama have to do to get in? Whereas K-State is 16th in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And who is their loss to? 11th ranked BYU, an undefeated BYU team.
Yeah, see, like BYU is a team that it surprises me they're still on the outside of the top 10. Like, you're undefeated, you've got one of the best strengths of schedules in the country, if not the best strength of schedule in the country. And it's purely, and again, this is, to me, in my opinion, the hypocrisy of our comment section yesterday. You guys want to tell us that we're overly negative. The AP polls got you outside of the top 10. And I think you're firmly inside the top 10 based on your record, based on how you've played.
But
like,
can Jake Retzloff complete 65% of his passes? Because that is the number it will take. I don't know how many people realize this. He's under, for the season, Jake Retzloff is completing less than 60% of his passes.
How many people nationally even know who Jake Retzloff is?
Not many. How many soccer writers that vote in the AP football poll know who Jake Retzloff is?
Yeah.
If you did, you probably wouldn't have BYU at 11.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't have K-State at 16.
Yeah.
You probably would have K-State ahead of Alabama. Because I would. If I had an AP vote, I would have them ahead of Alabama. But then again, they're a one-loss team. But if they're a one-loss team, why aren't they ranked right behind Georgia? Because Georgia's elite.
Yeah, and we have the ability to separate classes.
But Big 12 fan yesterday, I cannot tell you how many K-State fans were in the comment section yesterday ripping me because I still do not believe in Avery Johnson and that offense to be able to throw them to a victory. Because as we get closer and closer, and we edge closer and closer to November, and we edge closer and closer to bigger games of more consequence against better defenses, the truth is going to come out. And I'm probably going to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to be wrong. But when I look at the hierarchy in the Big 12, I see one team, the conference champion, getting in.
Yeah, and I just think that you've got this three-team dynamic in the Big 12 between BYU, Iowa State, and K-State. And obviously one of BYU or Iowa State's going to pick up a loss somewhere along the line. It's inevitable with the Big 12 championship game. But
I look at, and this is where I think your point about being able to separate classes comes out.
Yeah.
Iowa State's the best team in this league.
Yeah.
And I admit, I probably watch far too much Big 12 football. Freely admit that. Freely admit I spend way too much time last night on YouTube. Like, I'm literally watching Iowa State defensive highlights, nodding off on the couch.
And by the way, Brett
That's
McMurphy,
my life.
Brett McMurphy agrees with you on this particular point. Brett McMurphy has Iowa State with a bye. So he's saying that based on his graphic that he put out yesterday, he believes it's Iowa State, then BYU.
And why do a lot of people have Iowa State having a really strong month of November? Because they're on bye this week. And then look at the way that their schedule sets up going into that last 2 weeks.
Right.
Bye week this week, Texas Tech at Kansas.
And,
so their next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because of how bad. And again, Texas Tech fan, I love you guys. I hear you guys. I read your comments in the comments section yesterday. You're upset that I do not believe that Texas Tech can fix their defense this year. I don't think it's possible. That defense is not good at all. And I understand. I think it was Christopher. I can't remember who was saying that, well, we're starting freshmen and we have all these injuries. I understand.
Yeah.
It's not why your defense is bad.
It just is bad.
Your defense is bad. It's the Utah. It's not why your offense is bad. What did I say last week after Arizona State? Cam Rising there's nothing to talk about anymore. You're starting a true freshman. It is what it is. I don't care why your offense is bad. It's bad. I don't care why the Texas Tech defense is bad. It's bad.
Right.
So I'm not going to, like, so many people are, we're going to be in that game. Okay, if you're in the game in Ames, I don't doubt that you can compete with any team. That Texas Tech can compete with any team they play. Here's the problem. You're not going to be able to score on that defense because they, in my opinion, do two things really well. And this is what I was looking at last night. They are so sound at Iowa State in gap scheme on defense.
Right.
They don't overrun the gap. They're in the right place. You very rarely watch a running back. And again, I think Taj Brooks is the entire world in running backs in the Big 12. I think he's the best by far, not close. I think what you see at Iowa State is you do not have wide open A and B gaps for running backs to run through. You very rarely, and I think I saw it twice watching their tape last night at Iowa State. You rarely see the opposing offensive tackles and guards get to the second level on Iowa State. And why is that? Because their linebackers do an incredible job of shedding those offensive linemen. So they don't get to the second level. So the running backs don't wind up getting, these huge holes to run through.
Yeah, and let's address the UCF game because I saw a lot of people referencing the fact that RJ Harvey had 196 and Ja'Cory Brown had 154 on the ground. I watched a good bit of that game. Iowa State to me looked tired. They looked
gassed,
just exhausted.
They looked in this game in particular. And if you look at this game, I think what the Iowa State UCF game represented, one, I think Rocco Becht is not appreciated enough in this league.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
That cat is a baller at Iowa. He's the quarterback at Iowa State.
Big
Rocco
moment
Becht.
player, I would say, too.
And he just understands the game of football. He doesn't make, and this is the BYU versus Iowa State conversation. Iowa State's never putting Rocco Becht to throw some crazy-ass wild interception at the end of the first half and then put him at risk of injury making a tackle. Iowa State's never doing that. This was probably the hottest button issue yesterday on the show. When I said BYU should have taken a knee and gone to the half instead of having Jake risk himself, throwing in another interception for all the Jerry Bohannon fans, throwing another interception and risking injury. Yes, it was his left arm. Turned out not to be much. But B, like every BYU fan and their mother was like, bench him. Like, why are we doing this? For an undefeated team that is supposedly going to the college football playoff, you want to bench the starting quarterback on a terrible play call. At Iowa State, what you see is Rocco Becht is more composed. Rocco Becht is in command and control of the offense. And you know what Rocco Becht has the ability to do? I know it's crazy. He has the ability to audible.
Mm-hmm.
And he is given latitude. Number two, just looking at the big RJ Harvey run, is one thing is very clear on this RJ Harvey run. And obviously we cannot. Is Iowa State was not ready for that play call on defense. It does not mean that they were completely out of position. But if you look at the RJ Harvey run, he just runs off tackle left.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there was some breakdown, that there was a lack of integrity on the play. It quite literally is just an off tackle left. And Iowa State looked like they were all flowing to the right side of the line.
And again, I also think that so Iowa State hater is going to say, oh, well, they can't possibly have one of the best defenses because UCF ran all over them. I don't disagree. UCF ran all over you, but that's UCF's primary offensive outlet. That's what they have to do to be in games. And you notice that again, talking about Rocco Becht, like you still came back and won the game. You still were able to get the victory. And I think that a lot of people want to discount that. And I agree. The second quarter going to the half, UCF dominated Iowa State. There's no question about that.
And RJ Harvey's a dog, dude.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this on the show.
That's a Sunday football player, bro.
That is a Sunday football show.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're going to have one of those games a year. How often do you see that happen to Iowa State? You almost never see that happen. My point is, in all of this, Iowa State's the best team in this league. They consistently have their guys in the right place defensively, and I think defense is going to win this league. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they consistently have their guys in the right place. They have a quarterback who doesn't make lethal mistakes, and their coaches put their players in really good positions. I think at BYU, and yes, I understand BYU fan. You're pissed off. I'm critical of A-Rod. I think he routinely puts guys in the wrong spot. He does not say, okay, we've got 6 seconds left in the half or 10 seconds, whatever it was. I don't remember how much time was on the clock. I'm going to take a knee and I'm going to go to the half with some composure here. Instead of throwing a wild interception that was really about 4 yards from going for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people have gone back and watched that play. I've watched it repeatedly. That play was really close to going back. And again, you're not going to tell Jake Retzloff not to try and make the tackle. If Jake Retzloff throws an interception and there's a run back, he's going to try and make the tackle. But I'm never putting him in that position. Yeah. Not at the end of the half. Not when I felt like Oklahoma State was the better team in the first half, had a lot of momentum, and they were getting the ball. I'm taking a knee and I'm going to the half. And why am I doing that? Because I'm relying on my defense, who I think is good. And in the second half, the script got flipped later in this game. How? One, BYU hit Ollie Gordon repeatedly, and he was in and out of the game. And when he was in the game, Casey Dunn chose not to give him the ball repeatedly. You're leaning on a true freshman who missed. Here's the other thing that BYU fan better understand. Oak State ran a true freshman at running back, his first carries of his career. He missed 2 cuts that probably would have gone to the house. If that's Ollie Gordon, who I understand was banged up and injured, totally get it. A true freshman made significant errors in the run game for Oak State, or those 2 plays probably go to the house. And really, it would have been 1 play because the 2 major misses where he missed an open cutback. Because I'll give Oak State credit. Oak State's offensive line was really good in long stretches in the second half. I was quite surprised how much cutback lane and how much room Oak State's running backs had. And they were clean. And if he puts his right foot in the ground in that, BYU loses that game. But they didn't lose that game because a true freshman was at running back for Oak State.
And Jake Retzloff made plays.
And Alan Bowman did not. Alan Bowman's not a good quarterback. But
yeah, I mean, I think that you know, BYU fan takes it personally, and I understand, man. I understand. Yes. You're 7-0. You want us to say that, oh, you're having a hell of a year. You're going to go undefeated, and you're going to go to the playoff. And I understand that. Hear me. Yep. I feel you. I get that.
And you are undefeated on October 22nd.
So I get it.
As Iowa State won that game, you beat Oak State. And I think BYU, if I'm telling the truth, I feel like BYU played down to Oak State.
Oh, I would agree with that. I was surprised. You know, I have to say, not even really a criticism of Jay Hill in the defense, but just more like a little bit surprised that you weren't loading up the box consistently. I don't know why you weren't just putting one single high safety, 8 guys in the box, man across the board, because it wasn't like they were running out, like bunches and crazy wide receiver formation at you. I mean, they were, I don't know. I just, the whole Oak State experience in Provo this past week, I don't feel like BYU executed the game plan preparation to the highest level.
I'm not trying to be an a-hole. The halfback option interception.
Yeah, that's just you trying to be cute. That wasn't a smart choice.
Make it make sense. Because this was also, if you go back and look at our comments, people are saying I'm too critical of that halfback option call, that trick plays are a routine part of Kalani Sitake football. I don't disagree with that. But I thought your point yesterday was really spot on. Parker Kingston should have been throwing that ball.
Yeah.
Or somebody that you put it in a big player's hands. Put it in Give me a jet sweep to Darius Laster, who then, okay, I'm good with that. But to have Rapati, and the throw was terrible.
Well, and I just think leading up to this game, like if you've watched BYU football, that they've run those kind of plays, those trick plays, those unique plays with Parker throwing the ball, and he's shown you he can do that.
Exactly. He's shown you he can do that.
And so, you're
Exactly
in a close game, and I just felt like you took a risk you didn't necessarily need to take, in the sense of having Rapati throw it instead of Parker Kingston throw it. And again, for all of you who don't know, I just always like to point this out. Parker Kingston played quarterback in high school.
Yes.
That's why he throws the ball so well.
And to Thomas Reed's point, I understand we're an SEC show. I get it, right?
Stay hard.
I totally get it.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, baby.
Roll Tide. I get it. Anyway, but this is an amazing comment, and I appreciate it, Thomas. But,
well done.
But my point in all of this is, when we talk about things like the Big 12, yes, I tend to be the guy that focuses on weaknesses instead of strengths. That's how I always believe that in sports, you have to focus on what your biggest weakness is.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I look at Iowa State. I think their biggest weakness is at times they lack explosiveness. I think that's their biggest weakness. I think at BYU, Aaron Roderick and bad play calling is their single biggest weakness, in my opinion. I've watched, and I know you guys don't give a rat's ass about this, I've watched every BYU play multiple times. I can't figure out why you didn't hand the ball off to LJ Martin in that, instead of calling that halfback option.
I don't think for A-Rod I don't think it's the true reason for it is I don't think that he's a bad play caller. I think that A-Rod likes to look at what the defense has on the field pre-snap before he puts the play call in, and looks at the down and distance and says, hey, is this an opportunity for us to run something unique?
Why are you making so many good points today? Because how many times did we see Jake Retzloff?
Yeah, what are we doing?
I agree. The play call tends to come in late sometimes.
And the reason for that, again, not criticizing, don't come up and yell at me, BYU fan. I think A-Rod takes a little, and when I say takes too long, we're talking about a breath, 2 breaths, a second, 2 seconds longer than typically he would, because he's evaluating the situation. And sometimes,
which I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And sometimes I just wish that in games where you're tight and it's close, keep it simple, execute better than they do, and you'll win the game. You don't necessarily always have to do the cute flea flicker or whatever.
The ball off.
Yeah. And again,
that's all.
What I didn't see in our comments section was people saying we were wrong about BYU running for 7 yards a carry against Oklahoma State, and that they should have run the ball more. I think we all agree with that.
And I listen, BYU fan, I don't think anybody, if there's somebody that talks more BYU football than us outside of, I don't know, BYU Nation, find them. I think we have been pretty accurate. I think we have been pretty fair.
Yeah.
I think, and I get it, that there's a lot of fans that want us to only say nice things about their teams. I can't say nice things that, Baylor fan yesterday was losing their mind because they won a game, and I said Dave Aranda should be fired.
No, it's Utah, dude. We can't say nice things about Utah. BYU fan in our comment section wants to say that we're being negative about BYU because Utah is losing or Utah's not good this year, and somehow we're Utah fans. And it's dude, you want the truth on Utah? Here's the
That's
negative.
The best part. Wait. We're Utah fans.
Yeah. Here's the negative. I'm an asshole about Utah take. Utah's irrelevant. I don't care who your new OC is. I don't. And
he's a good one.
He is. He's good at his job. But with all due respect to him, they're not relevant anymore. It's over. Your season's done. We don't need to talk about you until that little game in a couple of weeks called the Holy War.
Well, BYU is not the only one that Utah is going to have a chance to wreck. Because I think you look at Utah's schedule at Houston, BYU, at Colorado, home for Iowa State, and then UCF. And as bad as UCF has been, UCF is also going to have a chance to wreck some folks.
Yeah.
As they almost did. Because who does UCF play next? I can't BYU. That's right. It was Saturday at the Bounce House.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would also remind you, who do they end the season with? Oh, that's right. They end the season with Utah.
And just a word of warning.
At the bounce house.
Word of warning for BYU fan. And we'll talk about this later in the week. You make the same mistakes against UCF that you did against Oklahoma State, and you'll lose that game by 2 possessions.
You better control the clock. And yeah, we'll get into that game as the week's go on. I want to give you guys a lot more time today. I feel like yesterday we did not give you nearly enough time to tell us how stupid we are. To comment your thoughts on.
I'm making, bro. So we're making more shorts again. People have noticed we're putting out shorts. I'm looking at the comment section on our shorts, and this one dude is like, "You guys are idiots. You don't watch football. I'm done listening."
We never watch football.
I'm like, all right, dude. Okay.
That's why I'm watching football last night, falling asleep watching. I watch far too much football in it, and it's fine. The comment section on this show is always presented to you by our friends at Prize Picks. My friends, you want to talk about a streak coming to an end?
I couldn't win on the W, man.
That did not happen for Chaboy last night. Because Chaboy won again. Let me open my Prize Picks app and tell you that I am not only am I good looking, that I think all of your wives have told you. But when you look at Mike Evans last night, Mike Evans' leg fell off and he missed the rest of the game. But only after he caught a touchdown, boy. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Mike Evans'
leg fell off.
Only after he caught a touchdown last night. And I would also like to thank Baker Mayfield last night, because I told you his number for yardage was 241.5 on a demon. Anybody see what Baker Mayfield threw for last night?
Gotta be 3 bills.
370 yards.
That's my boy right there, dude. That's my boy working.
And when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
That's
Derrick
my
Henry.
guy.
Derrick Henry, 74.5 yards.
I'm telling you, Derrick Henry's in the MVP conversation.
Did you guys see that run that he had last night?
Yeah, breaking dudes off.
That was last night. Derrick Henry, and I got to pull it. I think it was an 82.
Do you even lift?
Derrick Henry last night, 15 for 169, 81 yards. He broke them off for 81 yards, 3 for 3, 2 out of 3 on demons.
So let me get this right. He's bigger than you and he's faster than you.
Your boy took home $75 last night on Monday Night Football.
All right. So
if you would take my advice.
Yeah, but nobody listens to you, dude. This is an SEC show.
I don't watch football.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
It's easy on Prize Picks. I'm telling you, here it is. And the NBA is starting tonight, so we're about to really take home the bread.
How many of you hyenas are getting league pass this year?
I already have it.
Well, yeah, of course you already
Pimp's
have
gonna
it.
pimp.
I'm asking
Tax
the hyenas.
Tax write-off, baby. Yeah, I wonder how many of you. I'm excited to watch the Jazz suck for Cooper Flag. I'm not excited about it all. Lonzo Ball's back from IR and we, the beloved. But anyway, the point is, download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more instantly. And then you flex play 3 picks, which means you only have to get 2 right, and they'll pay you.
Yes.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
It's easy. It is easy. Tonight, and this is what I love about Prize Picks. Tonight in the NBA, because the NBA is tipping off tonight, how about Anthony Edwards for half a point?
We'll go ahead and take that. I think that'll be a gimme right there.
My guy. And I know you're going to play the drop, and I'll turn your drop machine off if you play it. Anthony Davis is 25 points tonight. Are you more or less on that?
After the street closed Davis.
You're a jerk. I'm stuck
Probably
between Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is 21.5 points against Boston.
I would be, well,
I'm probably way
Cat
more.
for rebounds is a good line at 11 instead of points, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go. This is my Prize Picks tonight.
But again, in the NBA, points, rebounds, assists is the easy go-to.
It is the go-to.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. And I look at Mikal Bridges, 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Done. I also look at the Lakers game is tough. Anthony Davis, 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think that's asking a lot. I think I look at Austin Reeves, AR-15. Thank you. 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Attainable.
I think what I am going to do here.
Well, you're obviously underselling the lead. What's Bronny's line?
Shut up, Jake. I think what I'm going to do here is, you're such a hater. Why do you have to ruin my football? Can I just, listen, can I just for one day?
It's the Bronny League now.
Can I just, for one day, can I please just enjoy the Lakers for one day? My Chicago Bulls are terrible, right? Kevin Durant has ruined the Suns. Can I just enjoy the Lakers winning a few games?
No.
My favorite player, I'm much more of a player guy. My favorite player is Devin Booker. I root for Book, but Kevin Durant has ruined that team. He has. Here are my prize picks for tonight. Anthony Edwards, 0.5 point. Duh. Anthony Davis, 12.5 rebounds. More. And Mikal Bridges, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. More. I'm putting $20 to win 55.
Nice, dude. Nice. That'll work.
I'm close. I have never been at $1,000 in my prize picks account.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not now. Let's just be real clear about that. But I'm close. I've been on a heater lately. So I am really excited to see how the NBA season tips off tonight. Download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more.
You guys ready? Are you ready?
No.
Ant Edwards for 0.5 point. Victor Wembanyama, your
God.
mama.
But he doesn't play tonight.
For more than he plays tomorrow. Or he plays Thursday.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Why?
You don't play Prize Picks into the future.
Okay, move along.
You play Prize Picks on that day.
Move along.
It is sacrilege.
It's not fucking real.
It's not real because he doesn't play until Thursday. It's Tuesday.
Okay. Move along.
Tuesday.
Move along. Let's get to the comments.
All gas, no break.
Eric and Raleigh. Bronny over under within 8 seats of the head coach. I like that. As a Laker fan, I was so pissed they drafted Bronny. I'm ready for LeBron to leave and all of his fans. Really? Okay. Stephen Smith. Hello. The game I am still worried about for Iowa State are Utah and K-State. They could lose both of those games if they played like they did against UCF. But I think they played down to UCF. They did not. You could just listen, Steve, you know this. When Iowa State's right, there's a certain edge on that defense.
Yeah.
Like that RJ Harvey run. It wasn't a dominant blocking scheme. They just were indifferent at the point of attack. And I think they played down to UCF. And I haven't seen an update on Mekhi Bernard yet. That's a huge injury for Utah to watch. Because if he's out, the stadium guy, James, if we hyenas, then Jake is Simba and Monty is Mufasa. No, we don't do Lord of the Rings on this show. Lopes fan Gabe, no flex play in Arizona. That's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Lopes fan Gabe, good to see you. Make sure you hit the like button, please. The stadium guy, James, Baker Mayfield is my fantasy quarterback. Okay, this is a family show. Let's relax. James also says, I wish they would play Iowa State versus K-State at Arrowhead. That would be cool. Why would they do that? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Home field advantage. Yes, like button. That would be great. Don't give a damn. Says Iowa State and BYU would get slaughtered in the playoff. They both were losing these games to bottom feeders of the Big 12. But see, and this is, with all due respect, you don't give a damn. I get it. But what I'm trying to tell you is they clearly played down to their competition. I think that an Oak State fan, you're going to lose your mind. Go for it. Oak State's not a good football team.
Bruh.
They're not. And it doesn't matter who the quarterback was in the game. And I think Rangel getting hurt changed the complexion of that game.
Right.
You bring in, and I know Oak State James says that Alan Bowman's the greatest thing since sliced Brandon Whedon.
Well, and you got the best wide receiver room in the country.
Ever.
Obviously.
But that game changed. And BYU is clearly a team that intimidated Alan Bowman. He refused to throw at Jacob Robinson, which I always say don't throw at Jacob Robinson, so I'm not complaining. But then the interception he threw was terrible. And BYU could have had 3 interceptions against Alan Bowman.
Yeah.
And then Ollie in and out of the line, like you're running a true freshman who missed multiple big plays.
There were issues.
Oklahoma State's a mess. They need this season to end as quickly as possible so you can fire Casey Dunn, because I don't know why they haven't done it yet. Thomas Reed, for an SEC show, yes, I read that one, my bad. James, there's a reason when a big program fires a coach that people say they should hire Matt Campbell. Yeah, he's an excellent coach.
Yeah.
The head coach at Iowa State. Payson Cougar fan. Monty, this is all that matters. BYU won. A win is a win. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Just don't matter. I don't disagree at all. Gabe H. Oak State did have 2 weeks preparing for BYU, which is...
And didn't look prepared.
They did not look ready to go. Force Ghost Fabio. Jake and Monty just hating because Utah sucks.
There it is.
So again, there it is. We're Utah fans now. We're Utah fans.
What did I tell you guys?
What are you talking about? Tanner Plummer's daddy.
Okay, we've reached a new level on the show.
Mike Chase. Thank you for the sign, by the way, for Big Noon Kickoff.
Yeah,
Mike
that was
Chase.
awesome, bro.
I did not see. I tell people this, and if I go into my Twitter DMs now, I'm sure I have a million. I don't ever read my Twitter DMs.
Hello, Instaface.
Mike Chase and his kids created a sign a sign supporting Jake Retzloff, saying that I told them that BYU is going to win.
Right.
And I appreciated that. I'm nervous about the UCF game. BYU struggled to stop the run, and that's what UCF does well. They cannot pass now that they made a quarterback change. What did he have in the 4th straight loss, which is, I just said UCF has lost 4 straight games. Ja'Cory Brown was 8 of 20 for 62 yards and 2 interceptions.
Right.
He also ran 13 times for 154 yards and 2 scores.
Yeah.
They ran for 354 yards against Iowa State. We'll see. Jay Hill's a phenomenal coordinator. Phenomenal. Y'all need to ease up a bit. Monty and Jake scouring through your comment section rage means less time on the phone for Monty with his sources. Exactly right. Dada Messina, the newest member of the Monty Show. Dada, appreciate you. Thank you. Sal Capone, I'm done with football season. Big 12 basketball media day is today. Said Arizona State fans around the world, or Arizona fans around the world. Midweek Coug, oh no, 20 minutes of prize pick talk. Sorry. Tanner Plummer's daddy says gambling is a sin.
I'm telling you, this account right here has a chance to be a goated account in the comment section.
Don't screw it up.
Whoever you are, don't mess
screw
it up.
Please don't. Please don't. Danny Hernandez. Be honest with me, Monty. Does USC coach Riley get fired this year? I believe he does. And
yeah,
we had this conversation yesterday, and I'm curious how many fans right now think their coach should be fired. I am not fire the coach guy. But I think if Lincoln Riley does not noticeably turn this team around offensively, because I think USC is better defensively already.
Right.
And you start looking at where they are in the Big Ten. I mean, anytime that you are in the dregs.
Yeah, what are they, 1-4?
1-4.
Yeah.
Anytime you're below Michigan, you're not good. And the problem is every one of their losses are by a point, by a play. 24-17 Minnesota, 33-30 on a terrible play call against Penn State at the Coliseum, 29-28 because you couldn't block the left side of the line couldn't block while trying to kick a field goal for USC. Their left side of the line collapsed, and Maryland blocked a kick.
Yeah, I think that SC's been, and I like Lincoln, but SC has been, outside of the LSU game, has looked poorly coached and unprepared. Their tackling technique is terrible. Their defensive scheme in certain situations is not good.
I think their defense is noticeably better.
It is better, yes, than it was last year. Yes. But I still think there are times where you're like, what were you thinking on that play defensively? Like, what were you trying to do?
You have guys out of position.
Yeah. And so I just, again, I agree with you that Lincoln's improved the defensive stature of his team. But what I don't understand is how you had that performance against LSU early in the season, and now seemingly you're just lost. You're like, and again, everyone was hanging a Heisman on Miller Moss's name to start the year. But I'm telling you, the kid is not like one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. He can make throws. He's talented.
There's
he can
a reason.
Lead your team,
There's a reason he's sat for so long.
Yeah,
and he's a good story.
Yeah,
but on the year, 1,954 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he's rated 134, which is not good. And I'm just of the belief that you have to run the table for Lincoln to keep his job.
Yeah.
And that means beating UCLA and beating Notre Dame. And that Notre Dame game is going to be, I think, next to impossible.
Maybe it's a a thing where maybe LA and the SC market just isn't necessarily for Lincoln. Maybe that's what it ends up being. I don't know. But I have to say, I am a little bit surprised that Lincoln has struggled so much there. Like it's surprising.
And I'm telling you, it's offense. It's not defense. It is offense. It is not defense.
Yeah. So will he get fired? I think, yeah, it's probably 60-40 he gets fired.
I think if you do not run the table, there's going to be some ugly discussions after this season.
Yeah.
And if he does keep his job, and I hope that he does, you need a massive transfer portal on it's USC, and your offensive line is Garbo. That'd be like Ohio State not having a quarterback, not having wide receivers. That'd be like USC not having a quarterback. Oh, wait. That'd be like, that'd be like Notre Dame not having offensive linemen.
Yeah.
That'd be, it just doesn't happen. And USC's offensive line doesn't have it. The left side of that line completely got dominated on that field by Maryland.
And again, you may be asking, well, why it's special teams, Monty? Why does that matter? Well, it matters because you wound up losing the game because of it. You got behind and then never came back.
And I agree, you shouldn't have been in that situation.
Yeah,
but you were. And if you block the left side of the line, that field goal is going through.
Yeah,
and you're winning the game. And now you got to run the table, I think, just to keep his job.
Yeah,
I do. They already did K-State, Iowa at Arrowhead. It wasn't very cool. I don't know why you would not want to play that game. It's a massive football game. Play it on a campus, in a campus venue. It's far better. GAH is a dump. Like, I don't know why people are so in love with Arrowhead. Anyway, it's James. He wants to put an upper deck at Utah to block a Mountain View.
Chiefs games at Arrowhead are great. College football games, not so much.
Yeah. Iowa State and BYU are good teams, but let's be real. They're not on the same level as Miami and Clemson.
Oh, I think Iowa State's on the same level as Clemson. I think Miami has an explosive-ass offense, and if you are not disciplined to a T on defense, Cam Ward will get you.
Did you guys know Damian Martinez was this guy? I knew he was good. Some of these runs.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is, and dog is the word, like he is a bull. They're very good offensive. Defensively, they have a lot to be desired. But
that Louisville game,
ooh.
I mean, that was one of the best college football games I've watched this year, just from a purely fan enjoyment of football perspective.
Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee. Hell, I think the Terps could win 9-10 games in the Big 12. I know the other day, all I heard on Thursday was how much of an Ohio State homer I am. And okay, call me an Ohio State homer.
Well, it's an SEC show, so
it just, thank you. If you guys think that they are, I mean, they've got Nebraska at Penn State, Purdue at Northwestern, Indiana, and then Michigan.
Where are we at on Indiana? Is Indiana turning into a quality win?
You just lost your quarterback for 2 weeks. That's not good.
So we're going to find out.
Yeah, Google Signetti. I think that Saturday we had better see a vastly improved Ohio State. Intensity is the word that comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always tough when you're on a bye. You become largely invisible, especially when you have a lot of big games. You know, when you've got Texas, Georgia, and you're on a bye. We're going to find out this weekend who Will Howard and that Ohio State offense is, because you can never have that happen again, ever. And this Nebraska team that is a 5-2, but 2-2 in the Big Ten, you should beat wholesale ass at the shoe. I don't want to hear any excuses.
Well, and I think it's a measuring stick game because of what Indiana did to them. I mean, and again, I know Indiana's lost a quarterback, but Indiana dominated that team. So if you're not dropping, a 50-10 performance on them, now we can start playing like for like, apples to apples.
Yeah. Charred cake. Hot take: games at NFL stadiums suck.
I don't disagree. I think that conference championship games at NFL stadiums, especially indoor, like Arlington or the Mercedes-Benz Dome, works. That's cool, but it's only cool because it's the SEC, right? It's only cool because it was Texas and whoever.
I don't think, like, thinking of Georgia Tech. Speaking of, Mercedes-Benz, UNLV at Allegiant Stadium comes to mind. Those aren't venues where you're like, wow, they played an NFL stadium.
But think about LSU SC at Allegiant. That was a great game.
Preseason game.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with that. But that's just me. Hello, Calford. You're 0-4.
Hey, Cal. I've noticed that the donations and memberships have fallen off here. Is that a direct result of being 0-4, or what's the sitch?
The sitch? Is that because you guys are behind North Carolina?
Because it's garbage.
You've lost 4 in a row. You've got Oregon State this week.
Was it the Miami game?
Was it? Look, do you guys understand the last 3 losses for Cal have been by 39-38, 1 point, 17-15, 2 points, 24-23, 1 point. Like, you're losing games. How did you lose? Tallahassee would like to thank Berkeley for the win.
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
You're 0-4. And UC Davis, does it diminish that Auburn win? I kind of feel like it does.
Yeah.
Oregon State at Wake, Syracuse, Stanford, and at SMU. At SMU.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. Bailey Dietrich, where are all the Walmart Wolverine fans at?
Walmart Wolverine fans.
And it's so funny. So just today, we're a Utah show. We're an SEC show, jokingly. We talk too much Ohio State. Like,
don't talk enough Ohio State.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Stadium Guy James, if USC is dumb enough to fire Riley, OU should fire Venables and bring Riley back.
Okay, but what about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I would stop talking. Oak State fan needs to keep Oklahoma out your mouth.
Yeah.
As the saying
Well, what
goes.
about Gundy, dude?
Gumby should get fired. Chewy? What?
Dude, Chewy, that's disrespectful, bro. Like, what? Why are you doing that?
Let's see. Brandon Butler. He's not fire the coach guy unless your name is Eberflus, Donovan, or Freeman.
Well,
I'd fire all 3 of them. You can't fire Billy Donovan because the front office is trying to build a good hockey club for the Bulls.
Does that sound like any other situation that you've heard of?
Bro, I don't know what the Bulls are doing, but More power to you. The worst thing in the world right now for me as a football fan is that Marcus Freeman is winning games that I think Brandon Butler, you could coach Notre Dame to wins in those games.
Notre Dame, our mother.
I mean, it's no NIU, but like it'll do.
And now NIU.
Yeah. Real world beater here. Remember all the haters and all the homers saying that, oh, Notre Dame is terrible. NIU's going to the college football playoff.
Bailey Dietrich, the Cleveland Browns, Monty. Yeah. I'm just curious. No. Nope. Didn't you guys sign Zappy off the practice squad from some crap hole team?
I sifted through all that.
So now, and Cleveland Brown fan does not want to hear this. Now, who are you going to blame? Because it's not Deshaun's fault.
Or his Achilles.
So who are you going to blame now? Because your guy is Jameis Winston. And Stefanski didn't just forget how to call plays or build an offense.
I think the question that was being asked in the first couple of weeks of the season after we saw how bad this team was of, hey, is the front office forcing Stefanski to stay with Deshaun? That I feel like has now come back to the forefront now that Deshaun's out, because we're going to find out what good old Jameis has. And I appreciate that Jameis came to Deshaun's defense and was doing him. I appreciate that out of Jameis, being a good teammate, doing what he needs to do. But Jameis Winston is not the savior of your football team. And Browns fan needs to learn to appreciate what you do have. And I feel like this has been the mantra lately. I'm not saying Deshaun was some great quarterback. I'm not saying that he was, oh man, incredible. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that he was the best quarterback on your roster. What I am saying is that it wasn't all his fault. What I am saying is that Nick Chubb's coming back. Finally we're getting some guys healthy. And ultimately this football team has just been torched by injury. And we, Browns fans want to put it all on Deshaun, and I'm just telling you that's not fair. And by the way, how much respect did you lose chanting he deserved it when he's on the medical cart going back to the locker room because he tore his Achilles? Not a good look, man. Not a good look at all, even a little bit.
Yeah, I am very interested to see how all that plays out. Brad Adams, will Lincoln Riley have to climb over a perimeter fence LAX after fired at LAX bus? Same like Lincoln. Well, okay, you tried there. I mean, that was an admirable effort, but they're not going to fire him on the tarmac.
That was a Lane Kiffin left on the tarmac reference, and he just executed it poorly.
Sir Bob Lab says, Will, not Howard. I know. I totally get it. One word for Cleveland Browns and Deshaun: karma. I think when you're talking about Deshaun, you have to separate the off-field stuff and the on-field stuff. Like that's
saying the guy deserves to tear his Achilles because of all this, the just awful things he did off the field. It's just a weak take, in my opinion. It's not a connected take. You're saying that this guy deserves to have, because in my estimation, based on where Deshaun's at in his game, this could be career ending. Could be. It is threatening his career without a doubt. Now, he'll recover, he'll come back, you'll see him on the field again, but he's never going to be the same guy. We're seeing it with Kirk Cousins, we're seeing it with Aaron Rodgers. Deshaun's not those guys, and will he even be, 3/4?
But he's younger than those guys.
Yeah, but they're better passers. They're more polished players. Like, I
would agree.
And they didn't take 3 years off the way he did, or 2 years off.
They have offensive line, wide receivers, and running backs too.
And they're more likable.
Suck it up, Buttercup, for $5. Come on, Monty. Time to talk basketball. 2 weeks out. Baylor, Gonzaga. Yeah, the Pac-12 is back, baby. Okay. Sorry. Thomas Reed, Notre Dame loses to either Army, Navy, or both, and USC. The front office for not offering Flacco. Well,
agreed.
But don't you have to move on from Joe Flacco at some point? T. Lawrence Gragston, Chris, Ohio State would take their alumni in a heartbeat if this happened today. Oh, my God. He'd be gone. he'd be gone. There's no doubt. There needs to be a study. How many teams hire a better coach after a bad coach? And I tend to say that all the time about NFL situations. But if you're going to fire, like at USC, if you're going to fire Lincoln Riley, who are you going to replace Lincoln Riley with?
Right.
And my opinion is that this is why I'm not fire the coach guy. Because very rarely are we in a situation where, like, let me stay in my own house. If you fire Matt Eberflus, I can think of 4 guys I would hire today that'd be a better fit. Mainly Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, Bob.
That'd be my first, last, and middle phone call.
What, not Bob Saleh?
Bobby. Now, you want to hire Bobby to be my defensive coordinator? Hell yeah, knock it down.
Yeah.
But Bobby Slowick is the cat I want running my football team in this offseason. I've got a young quarterback. I've got great wide receivers. I need offensive schemes. We know he can do that, right? But at the college level, who are you going to hire that's going to replace Lincoln Riley at a very difficult job where they always seemingly have the pitchforks out?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I wouldn't be so excited to fire him. Didn't say deserve, said karma. You get in life what you give. Well, I don't think fans saying you deserve this is good karma.
No.
At all. Brady Cook. I never like to see someone get hurt, and them saying he deserved it is so long. Also, the 49ers are hurting with injuries too. You know, one of the things we wanted to talk about today before everybody came in and said we were an SEC show, are there more major injuries in the NFL this season?
I think that's HIPAA.
I know I've said this before, so this is not reinventing the wheel. I think you're seeing more catastrophic injuries and more injuries to quarterbacks because linebackers and defensive linemen are faster, stronger, and they're taking more hits. The hits they're taking are more damaging hits.
Yeah.
And I think when you look across this league, like the Brandon Ayuk hit the other day, dirty as hell. Torn ACL, he's being held up and you hit him in his knees. That's a dirty hit.
Yeah.
Right? So you have now bigger, faster, stronger players. You're going to have injuries. I look at a lot of the Tua Tagovailoas of the world. You're not going to do anything about that concussion.
Yeah, I don't.
You're not.
I'm not watching. If he's playing, I'm not watching, dude. It's really difficult for me to watch him play football.
But I look at the Godwin dislocated ankle last night. I mean, that sucks. Like, I look at some of these hits.
Well, and I also think that, the preseason hype around officiating and injury mitigation was penalizing the hip drop tackle, right, from behind. And they're just simply not penalizing it. They're not calling it. And to me,
yeah,
I think the reality is, like, the NFL has done a couple of things here that they thought would mitigate injury, but actually, in my opinion, made it worse. So, yes, you have to, when it comes to concussions, you have to penalize guys for targeting. You do. Because they're bigger, faster, stronger. Like, we're not playing 80s football anymore. These guys are flying around. They're the best athletes in the world, in my opinion, looking to do damage. So you got to penalize concussions, but we can't be penalizing, big hits to the chest, to the shoulders. Like,
you look at the
football.
hit in the Charger Cardinal game last night.
Shouldn't have been a penalty.
Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that should have been a penalty. Was there contact to the head? Yes, but you have a player falling down.
Yeah.
And it's the Patrick Mahomes thing.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to light that jackwagon up on the side. If you're gonna fake like you're stepping out of bounds, somebody needs to take that guy apart at the joints on the sideline.
Yep.
Just light him up.
And it surprises me that in a time when, because I agree, quarterbacks are taking more hits than they ever have. In a time when that's happening, Patrick Mahomes seems to avoid those hits more than any other player, partially because he's smart, partially because the officials protect him. And I don't understand. I completely agree. I don't understand why dudes aren't looking for him on the sideline. I don't get it.
He's routinely doing that fake step out of bounds thing. It's
So, yeah, I do think there are more major injuries in the NFL now than we've seen in the last couple of years. And I do think it's partially because of how the league has asked defenders to hit guys. You're telling them, hey, you can't hit them high, can't hit them in the helmet. So what are guys doing? They're going low. They're going, and so the Ayuk injury happens more routinely.
I mean, you tore an ACL and an MCL, and if you didn't see it, I wouldn't encourage you to go see it. But it's a gnarly hit that I'm not alone saying that that's a dirty hit.
It is, yeah.
But I also look at the Godwin ankle last night. Like, so many of these hits that lead to injuries are just innocuous
football plays.
Yeah, they're just innocuous hits and you can't hit a guy high, so you got to go low.
Yep.
But then you breathe on Patrick Mahomes, and it's a penalty.
So my coaching to my players would be get your money's worth.
If you're going to take a fine or you're going to get
penalized,
a 15-yard penalty, at least knock him out of the play for a game and knock him out of the game for a play.
Yeah.
Light him up. Let's go. Nobody should be.
He's wearing pads too, bro.
I'm telling you, if he is going to hesitate and fake like he's going out of bounds, that you want to talk about earned. You've earned getting lit up.
Yeah.
And if the officials throw a flag on a big hit that's legal, if you put your shoulder into his chest on the sideline, I don't want to see flags on that play.
Yeah.
I don't. You can't. You can't do it. Giggity, always 12 versus 11 when you play the Chiefs.
I agree.
I hate the Chiefs. I hate everything about the Chiefs.
To that point, though, I feel like that solidifies what we're saying, Giggity. Like, when you're playing the Chiefs, especially at Arrowhead, and we've seen this repeatedly, at Arrowhead, they get more than usual. If you're playing them at Arrowhead, is your mission as a linebacker and a defense not to take every opportunity? Go out there and punish them early in the game.
Yes.
Take the penalty because they're going to score either way. This is the thing with the Chiefs that I never understand the opposition, why they don't do this. If they're going to score either way because they're better than you, go out and take your shots. Go put him in the ground. And they just won't do it. They just refuse to hit Patrick Mahomes.
And I think this is a quarterback issue in the NFL. It's the Jake Retzloff thing the other night. It's Lamar Jackson blocking last night. I don't want Lamar Jackson blocking.
No.
I don't want Jake Retzloff tackling. I don't want Patrick Mahomes faking that he's going to step out of bounds. I mean, I do, because I want him to get hit so hard that his brother actually goes to prison for being a criminal. Okay. But that's just my opinion.
And by the way, he ran your safety's ass over at the goal line.
And it's what I've always said about, yes, he did. It's what I've always said about guys like Anthony Richardson. That guy can't take a hit, but he can't throw the ball from the pocket. And what have we seen in Lamar Jackson? Lamar's not taking hits anymore because what's he doing? Throwing the ball from the pocket.
Yep.
And why is he doing that? Because now he's got King Henry back there.
Yep.
Right? I look at verticality, little Kyler last night. The guy's still running all over the place, and I'm telling you, he's going to get hurt. And it's that you cannot have these running quarterbacks, but you can't hit a quarterback anymore. Oh, well, he's not a quarterback anymore. He's not a defenseless player. He's a running back. Hit his ass.
Yeah.
Like those fakes on the sidelines, like faking going out of bounds.
And that first defender that he sidestepped to get past him, you can see mentally he was just trying to shepherd him out of bounds. He wasn't going to Patrick Mahomes with the intent to drop him.
I'm telling you, midweek Coug, if they hit Mahomes like that, they'll throw a flag.
They'll throw a flag either way. That's my point.
Yeah, the rope-a-dope on the sideline was cheap. I agree. Sir Bob Lob, players go for hits more often than wrapping up because that's how they're coached. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Thomas Reed, the Chiefs tackle still false starts on every play and never gets called, ever.
So the question maybe we should be asking inside of this conversation is how is someone going to beat the Chiefs? The 49ers were never going to win that game. With all the injuries you have, you just don't have enough right now. But I'm telling you, in the playoffs, when you play them, like especially in the divisional round, like go and make Patrick Mahomes pay a price. And I have yet to see a defense do that to him. And if they do in fact run into the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, if that happens, I hope that Roquan finds Pat. I hope that Ravens defense chooses to channel their inner Ray Lewis, Ed Reed vibes and go after
Ray
dudes.
Lewis.
Well, that's what it needs to be. Like,
do you guys agree that Ed Reed's the one that ended big hits in the NFL? This was a conversation yesterday on NFL radio. I don't disagree. Ed Reed, some of those hits, there's famous tape of him, and I saw it on TikTok a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Of him on the sideline talking about how he takes his frustration out on special teams.
Yeah. You guys have all seen the video, right? Against the Colts.
He runs down the field, but there's like 10 hits in this reel of him just blowing dudes up.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't illegal at the time.
Just because he can.
That would be, Brady Cook. Like, do the Chiefs have a ref in their back pocket? Yeah, all of them.
But why is that?
Because they want dynasties in the NFL.
No, they want to stay relevant with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and they want a dynasty.
We almost made it through a Chiefs conversation without
you
having to hear about
it.
T-Swizzle, bro.
Talk about it, bro.
I want my T-Swizzle.
Like, you're telling me that doesn't matter to the NFL?
Bro, can I get some T-Swizzle over here, please?
My bad.
Like, it has to matter. By the way, can we talk about frickin' Dan Campbell and Chris Christie? Please.
Does anybody want to explain to me why Mad Dog had Chris Christie on his show the other day? And why did Mad Dog have to go after Dan Campbell? And why?
Listen to the way in the question leading up to Chris Christie's answer. Listen to how
the former New Jersey governor, Chris Christie.
Yeah. Listen to how Mad Dog explains the game situation. It describes the circumstances with Dan Campbell.
A problem personally of Campbell rubbing it in with, an eligible receiver situation in the second half when he's up by 4,000 points, which he did with his offensive lineman just to get back at the Cowboys from a year ago. Do you have a problem with that as a fan?
No, that's Dan Campbell. He's got no class. Never has. So
really?
It's fine. It's fine. Look, Dan Campbell, that's the way he is. And what goes around comes around. There'll be a time when.
So you were bothered. So you were bothered by it. Okay.
Well, I just think it was. Look, and I think that it's misdirected. Dan Campbell's angry because the referees got a call wrong in the game a year ago. Well, then run that play on Roger Goodell. The Cowboys had nothing to do with the play being called incorrectly. It wasn't a challenge that the Cowboys made. It was the call the referees made. The Lions got hurt by it. The Cowboys benefited by it. But now, so because of that, you want to take your peak out over that while you're, beating the hell out of these guys and rub it in. I don't think that's what pros do. But it's his prerogative. It's the reputation that he'll carry around the league. And quite frankly, I think most people think that's his rep now anyway.
Wow.
Okay, that's it. Show's over. Like, what am I supposed to? First of all, like by 4,000 points.
Like what?
I don't believe there's ever been a margin of victory of 4,000 points in the NFL. And if it did, it would have been against the Cowboys. But first of all, Chris Christie, I don't care what you think of Dan Campbell. Nobody thinks Dan Campbell's classless. And but his girlfriend's or his daughter's ex-boyfriend does. That's why they doxed him and he had to move.
He's got no class. But
I'm sorry that this is, first of all, Mad Dog Unleashed, Channel 82 on Sirius. The 4,000 hours bomb is the best part.
A problem personally of Campbell rubbing it in with, an eligible receiver situation in the second half when he's up by 4,000 points, which he did with.
I don't believe there's ever been a 4,000 point lead.
But just how casual he is,
Dog throws it out.
4,000 points. Did it rub you the wrong way or what?
Yeah. Who are you, Bob Kraft, getting rubbed the wrong way? Bro, like. Only Mad Dog is putting Chris Christie on to talk about Dan Campbell. It's remarkable. Where do you go where do we go from there? There's nowhere but down. We're And maybe it's nowhere but up, but to hell is where I think we go.
So I'm not a huge like Mad Dog guy in general. I never listen to his show. Like he only, blips on the radar when he says stuff like this. But I just couldn't get enough of, the substitution thing when he's up by 4,000 points. Like, I just couldn't believe that Mad Dog thought that was okay to characterize it that way.
And then Dan Campbell's classless? And you guys say we don't know anything about football?
He's got no class.
Like, what? You don't ever, it's fine. Charles, for the W, apparently. Sean Taylor used to knock players out in the Pro Bowl. He did. And I missed 21. Geoff, painful being a Niners fan this year. It's how I empathize with Ute fans and don't talk smack. I feel it. So I would never talk smack about the Utes, but I understand what it's like to be a Ute fan because I'm a Niner fan, and our season's over too.
Yeah, and we're down by like 4,000 points every game, so it doesn't matter.
You're classless.
He's got no class.
Thank you. That was a backhanded slap, Geoff, and don't think it went unnoticed. The Niners are riddled with injuries.
Yeah, just one of those.
The
years.
Ayuk thing kind of was the topper. I mean, you have, I think you've got to cut Debo at the end of the year. Yeah. And I understand it's pneumonia. I guess he has pneumonia. Couldn't play. Like, I get it. But Brocktober's getting exposed now. Like Brock Purdy, I think there's a real conversation around Brock Purdy or the talent around him.
Yeah.
Because now the talent's not around him and he is struggling and throwing terrible interceptions. And Kyle's got to do a better job. Kyle Shanahan's got to do a better job developing Brock Purdy. That much I think is very clear.
Yeah.
And at some point, the NFL is going to have to understand that you can't rely on the CMCs and the Debos and the guys who are always hurt are always going to be hurt. You keep paying them, and Tua's going to keep getting concussions because that's another conversation. Did you guys see Tua Tagovailoa saying he wants to play this Sunday?
Yeah, well, not only that he wants to play this Sunday, that he's not going to wear the what do they call them? The cover over your helmet.
Yeah, the helmet padded hat.
I can't remember the name. But he's not going to wear one of those, and that he's willing to die for this game. And I have to say that's exactly what's going to happen to Tua. Like, I have real reservations about Tua making it to 50 years old, and I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious.
And you know how we all watch Tua.
Like,
but I'm not going to watch Tua anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to watch Dolphin games.
Steve Young did an interview yesterday where he talked about, hey, I had 2 concussions in my career, but my concussions were never bad enough where I didn't remember what happened, or like I went home, I took a couple weeks off, I slept, I really took it seriously. And, guys like Steve and other guys who have played in the league always talk about, like, there are levels to concussions, and Tua's had like the worst of the worst that you can have.
His two major concussions were both lights out, don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch Dolphins games. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to do it.
No.
I'm not willing to do it.
It's a play-by. It is a ticking time bomb watching Dolphins games.
Giggity says Mad Dog's a clown. Sir Bob Lob, I'm like school at 3 a.m, no class. There you go.
Okay. Right.
He's got no class.
Yeah. Tanner Plummer, it's probably good the NFL is getting softer. CTEs are no joke. Yeah, to a certain extent. The flag in the Cardinal game last night was reprehensible. It ruined the game. It allowed the Cardinals to go down and kick that field goal on a hit that shouldn't have been a flag. Eric in Durham, Chris Russo's a clown. Has always been a clown, will always be a clown. He talks to hear his own voice. He's not for everybody.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that I never said he was a great host or something. I'm not saying he's got a great show. He does his show his way. It's not for everybody. In fact, I would say it's not for most people. It's a very select sports listener who would be interested in his show. I just thought there was a lot of comedic value in the line of, hey, you're up by 4,000 points. Did that rub you the wrong way? Like, I just thought that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. Sir Bob Lob, concussions are rising. Insurance costs are why football wants kill shots out of the game. Well, I think it's not good for viewership to have kill shots as part of football. It's not. That's just me. Sir Bob Lob, bubble helmet. I can't remember what it's called. Guardian cap.
Guardian cap. Yeah.
Yeah. Tua needs to call Junior Seau's family. He doesn't. It's called a guardian cap. There you go.
Yeah, guardian cap.
Charred cake. Tua saying no for guardian caps because drip is respectable.
Yeah.
I wonder why he wouldn't, in my opinion. Charles. It was hard to watch Steve Young with all those concussions. Troy Aikman. Eric Hipple. You guys don't remember Eric Hipple. Eric Hipple. How come no one is telling firemen not to do their job or police not to do their job? They put their lives in danger all the time, every day. Jeremy Bolton is not wrong. And this is a conversation I've heard repeatedly.
So what's the argument here?
Well, you're telling Tua not to play in the NFL, but you're not telling cops not to be cops. And they're both putting their lives on the line because it's a game. It's football.
Yeah, I think the difference there. I understand the take. I get that. I think the difference there is that you know a police officer is a police officer, a service member of any variety. Yeah. I would say, you know, that's not a game. That's like,
and they're not paid tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, like you're not getting paid the type of money. It's not a game. It's not like. It's yes, your body is at risk. I completely agree with all of that, of course. But my thing with Tua is you don't have to play football, man. It's not like he's already made enough money where he'd never have to work again. I understand the concept wealth, of, hey, I love this game. Like he literally said, we're not playing it because it's copyrighted, it's NFL, but he literally says, I'm willing to die for this game. Okay. That's all that needed to be said. So we don't need to talk about him wearing a guardian cap or anything else. He's made it very clear he is willing to die for this game.
That's wild.
And I personally disagree with that. I have huge reservations about that. I make no qualms about it. You've made generational money, never have to work again. Yeah. Nobody in your family has to work again. All you need to do is get a money guy, set up a real estate portfolio, and you're good for like 3-4 generations, bro. But you're so in love with this game. Like, why wouldn't Tua be a quarterback coach? Why wouldn't Tua get
when somebody says, I'm willing to die for this game, I stop questioning it.
Yeah.
That's your decision.
Yeah.
I wish we paid our military members in forward positions, our combat soldiers, what Tua's making.
Agreed.
But I've seen this argument, Jeremy. I've seen this argument 100 times. I don't think it's a comparison I would make, but I understand what you're saying. Dev MC, he's got no class. Drop is the best new drop since hot ass.
Hot ass.
And you do have to pause. I agree. Hot
ass.
Ass. It's like the Ohio State isn't the
hot ass.
Ohio State.
Right.
Very different. You know, Chewy Gonzalez. Mad Dog is OG in New York sports talk. He is. He's a legend.
He's got no class.
I wouldn't say that. I respect the hell out of him. Eric and Raleigh.
He's got no class.
At Cleveland Baseball Organization. It's not. It's called a Guardian cap. Guardians. Cleveland Baseball.
Right.
The Cleveland Guardians.
Right.
You're a homer is the first part.
Keith Carl, remember when, quote, jacked up was an ESPN Monday Night Football segment? Yes. And everybody on the set would say, he got jacked. Yes, I remember.
Well, and they still do pancakes on Get Up.
They do, where they throw pancakes at the screen.
Yeah.
Giggity. When cops get shot and are disabled, they quit working. It's very true. And they don't make tens of millions of dollars.
Yep.
Boyd Lake. Police and firefighters take an oath for public service. Okay. Jeremy Bolton. I'm stupid. I should have never said that. And I agree with you. Oh, wait. I misread that.
He's got no class.
But it's... But it's Tua's livelihood, right? It is 100% his choice. 100%.
It is. Again, we have the ability to say, hey, it's his choice, his livelihood. He can do what he wants. But I can also say, I disagree with his choice.
Yeah. Sir Bob Lobb. Eric Hipple and Terry Bradshaw's brother Craig split time at Utah State. Okay.
Wow, that was...
I was unaware that Eric Hipple was split by anything other than Wilbur Marshall and the Chicago Bears. You guys remember the Wilbur Marshall? Oh, my God. As a retired service member, most do it not just for a paycheck, but because they want to serve. Being an athlete is a different thing. Thanks for your service, Thomas, and I agree.
Yeah,
I wish we paid our service members the way we pay athletes. But Danny Hernandez, that's a stupid take. A cop versus a game. It's down, Jeremy. Well, okay. Jeremy's taking some heat today. Giggity. Tua's livelihood is not at risk. He's getting over $100 million if he walks away because of the injuries.
And that's the point that you can't get away from. But again, we can't get lost in this. He's a human being. He's a grown-ass man making a grown-ass decision.
Yep.
It's his choice.
Jeremy Bolton, I could be totally wrong. But it's not a wrong thing. And as wrong as I might have not been yesterday, allegedly, I think sometimes we get too much into you're wrong and I'm right. Like it's Jeremy's opinion, and I respect that. I mean, as somebody who has golfed with Jeremy, there's not much I respect about him. But when we talk, I could be totally wrong, and that's fine. But let Tua just make his own decision. I agree. Let him make his own decision.
But Jeremy, are you still going to watch Tua knowing that it's one play away from more seizures on the field?
And I won't.
Yeah, I won't either. I avoid it. And what's tough about that is that means I'm not going to watch Chiefs Dolphins. I'm not going to watch, some of the better matchups because Tua in the Dolphins offense is entertaining.
It is.
But it's when he ran and ran into Darvin, ran into what's his name? The safety in Buffalo that I can't remember his freaking name today. When he ran into Damar Hamlin. When he ran into Damar Hamlin.
How did we not know that name?
Yeah. When he ran into Damar Hamlin and that concussed him, that's when I was like, can't watch anymore, dude.
Yeah, that was a fairly innocuous collision.
Yeah, that wasn't some targeting vicious hit.
Yeah, I agree. No player, Boyd Lake, should be given the power to make gladiators of all players and Romans of all of us. Well, we are responsible. And I've been trying to avoid saying this today, but there's a Chicago Bears flag that hangs outside my house on game day. I own Chicago Bears hats, multiple sweatshirts. And I'm considering buying Bears season tickets. I'm responsible because I buy the Sunday ticket.
Mm-hmm.
We're all responsible for it and it's a very small responsibility, but why does he make the money he makes? Because we all watch games and we all pay to watch games at a very high rate.
Yeah.
So we bear some responsibility there. We are the Romans. Willing to die for a game where he won't win a championship. Well,
but
that's a Dolphins conversation.
See, I don't think it's about championships with Tua. I think that what it's about is it's his life.
Well, let's remember, he's also Polynesian.
Yeah.
And combat gladiator style pounding rugby, football sports are built into the DNA of Polynesian men.
Yes.
And you have to understand that is certainly part of this. The kid's played football. He's played football since he was a kid. He grew up in a home that by some descriptions was abusive. And I think football is probably the true love of his life.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if he wants to play football, bro, go for it. I'm not going to watch you play football.
Yeah.
But if that's you and you want to die for this game, it's what we call freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm a true believer in freedom. You want to smoke cigarettes, you're free to do that.
Nobody's got to agree with your decision, but it is your decision.
You want to go kill your brain? You are free to do that. I'm not going to support your endeavor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to support your endeavor. Chewy. And now in the 58th draft, the U.S. Army selects Joe Smo from Indiana. Wonder what his signing bonus was. Phil Venzer. Are you angry today, Phil? The NFL has to make a stance and prohibit him from playing. Yeah, I don't think they do.
And that's tough. Like, I understand where you're coming from on that, Phil, but I think the hard part is like that's not Tua not playing is bad for the NFL, like because he is Polynesian and he does have a huge fan base and people do buy his jerseys and more people are going to buy Dolphin season tickets and yada yada, all the things that we contribute into the league as consumers.
But
and so,
to Mayor McCluskey's point, though.
Yeah.
Who are we to tell Tua what to do?
Yeah.
Who am I to tell you not to be a cop, not to be a service member?
Especially after the offseason negotiation to get the contract he just got. Like, you have to consider that as well.
I'm not here for it. Chewy, if Tua dies, will fans say you deserve this? Only in Cleveland. Hey, now, my golf is hot ass.
Hot ass.
Bros, over the weekend, I could have easily shot a 72, 75, and just didn't. And I got so much crap. I put a video on my Instagram of me almost chipping out, holding out on the 18th. And people are like, well, if you had better form, thanks. Thank you.
Hot ass.
My short game was not terrible this weekend. It just was not good. And I couldn't. I played 13 holes of par golf. And then 5 holes of, my God, why do I play golf?
Garbo.
Golf.
Yeah.
And my bad golf is not bad.
Yeah.
My bad golf is I finished with an 80 on the dot.
Yeah.
And it could have been I think going back over it, I think I could have shot a 72.
Yeah.
And I didn't. Thomas Reed, most join for a job, a paycheck, or school. The majority that stay to retire do it for a bit more. I agree. And I think I make no bones about the fact that I have a lot of military veterans in my family. And I was never, I remember sitting in a Navy recruiting station in Waukegan, Illinois.
Right.
Not wanting to join. So I am not the guy who's ever going to criticize somebody for joining and the sacrifice that they make. I just think it's different. So, but that's just me. Eric and Raleigh, Darvin Ham, it's a basketball season.
Yeah, I couldn't remember dude's name.
Ken Hamlin. You guys
couldn't remember
him?
His name, bro.
B, hello, B. I would hate to see him in that fencing stage. Yeah, I don't want to see him on the field locked up and I don't. All right. Final one on this goes to the mayor of Montytown. If you ask Tua whether he should retire now or have CTE when he's 60, Tua 10 times out of 10 is going to choose football now. I totally agree. $100.
Yeah.
Jake and Marty, what brand do you guys use for golfing? There's only one. PXG.
Yep.
That's it. And I've said this 1,000 times. I have a lot of experience with golf brands. PXG is the best club I've ever hit. And we have a great fitter here in the state of Utah, a guy named Garrett.
Yep.
If you want his connects, please call me. The thing I love about PXG is you can't go into PJ Superstore and buy their clubs off the rack.
Oh.
Because you need to, in my opinion, getting fit for golf clubs is vitally important. And whether you're me and you're 6'3" and you have long legs and you need a longer shaft or a stiffer shaft or a softer shaft, grow up. My point is that I think when you look at the experience you get with PXG, it is elite. I'm getting fit for their newest clubs November 2nd, so a week from Saturday. I'm going to have all my new clubs, irons, wedges. Their Sugar Daddy wedges are the best wedges I've ever used.
Yeah.
That video of me almost chipping in, quite literally, from about 35 yards, I chipped onto the green, ball hit the hole and went out.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not going to make you a better short game guy. You got to work on your game no matter what brand you play.
Yeah.
But the thing about PXG, specifically those Sugar Daddy wedges and their golf ball, and I know that every guy is like, oh, dude, Pro V1. I'm telling you, the PXG golf ball, especially inside of 100 yards, is the best golf ball I've ever played.
Yeah.
And Pro V1's a great golf ball. The PXG ball, it's softer around the greens. When you're chipping, you have better spin control. You're using a sugar daddy wedge with a ball that gives you feel and spin around the green. The thing that drives me crazy is when you hit about an 80-yard, 54-degree wedge and that ball spins past the hole or spins off the green. That is not my problem with a PXG ball. So I love PXG drivers. I love their irons.
Yeah.
Whether you're somebody, there's an iron called a cavity back that if you're a newer golfer or if you don't strike your ball well, and if you're not somebody that constantly works on your swing, go and get their cavity back irons because they are much more forgiving, which means there's a bigger space on that club face to hit a good shot.
Yeah.
If you're like me, I actually have hit my irons pretty well. I cannot wait to get into their Gen 7 irons. I am stoked. Cannot wait. Their Black Ops driver, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And the fitting experience at PXG is amazing. Garrett Van Dyke is an excellent fitter. Excellent
video
fitter.
on our channel.
There is
go watch
a PXG fitting video on our channel. Amazing. Chewy says, I use Ping, pure Japanese beauty and quality. I have hit a lot of Ping irons in my life. I think that you have a very small sweet spot on the Ping iron. Very small. And you better... Geoff, long shaft, always appropriate. Okay. You know. I love when I hit my Callaways and the ball sails right into a tree and then right into the water. Pure beauty and delight. I'm just telling you. For me, there is no better sensation of hitting a high drawing tee shot with a driver. And the thing I love about the PXG is the sound of that driver hitting the ball. And then you just watch the ball flight. There's nothing like it. But I will also say a 200-yard iron shot that you just crush that ball and you watch that ball go. Dude, I'm such a golf addict.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to it. I love it. How much does a PXG cost?
There's a wide range.
For a full bag, or do you need a bag as well as clubs?
Yeah, I think their full set of clubs with a bag and a box of balls is like $1,500 or something like that for an entire bag.
Yeah, it depends on what you get, what level of their irons, what level of their drivers. Are you adding hybrids to that, or are you an iron player?
You could spend $5,000 with PXG on a bag for sure, but I just, that would be like a tour level.
Yeah, if you get 17 clubs and a putter, or how many irons do you need? Like, it all depends. Garden variety, I think you're probably somewhere around $2,000 for a full set new. And it's about 5 days.
Yeah.
You get fit, and about 5 days later, you get that amazing UPS delivery on your front porch. It's awesome. Orchids of Asia is their sponsor. Okay. Not really sure what massage joints have to do with it. No, Sergeant Green, I'm not reading that comment. I grow up.
He's got no class.
NBA tips off tonight. Let's get to it. Thanks to our friends at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com. Download the app in any of your app stores, wherever you get your apps. Nobody on this show uses an Android, but let's pretend you're that guy. Android, iPhone, go to your app store, download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. Download the app. You deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account, they'll give you 50 more. Here are my prize. Did you make your picks for tonight?
No, I was too busy being told my picks sucked.
Well, they do, because you're terrible at Prize Picks. Mm-hmm. He's not. I'm just a jerk. Anthony Edwards for half a point. Their promo tonight is Anthony Edwards, half a point.
Right.
Anthony Davis, 12.5 rebounds. More, and this is the thing at Prize Picks, more or less. Anthony Davis, 12.5 rebounds. More. Mikal Bridges, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists tonight against the Boston Celtics. I think the Knicks are the best team in the East. 21.5, I'm going more. You add Mikal Bridges and you add Karl Anthony Towns, championship. Anthony Edwards, 0.5 point more. Anthony Davis, 12.5 rebounds more. Mikal Bridges, 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists more. Jake?
I am going to go Ant on 0.5 point. Rudy Gobert to have 2 turnovers, and Steph to make 5 threes.
So you understand, Golden State doesn't play tonight. You understand.
Oh, my bad.
You understand that when Anthony Edwards, they give you the promo, it's 0.5 point. If you follow my cookie cutter way of doing prize picks, you make 3 selections on a flex play, which means you only got to win 2 or 3. And for all my Phoenicians and Arizonans, I know you can't do flex play. But if you do flex play, you only have to win 2 or 3. They're giving you Anthony Edwards for 0.5 point. So now you only have to get 1 more right. And you win. That's the best part about it.
Okay. Ant for 0.5 point.
Yes.
Rudy Gobert for 2 turnovers. And Jalen Brunson.
Such a red ass.
Jalen Brunson less than 27.5 points tonight.
Rudy Gobert for 2 or more turnovers. Sensational.
Yeah.
Man, I hope tomorrow when we're doing the show, you had 7 turnovers, bro. Winning.
Yeah, cash.
Stay hard. That would be amazing.
Cash me in the turnover column.
That would be amazing. Are you guys NBA fans? I am stoked. You guys know I'm passionate about the NBA.
We show up.
We're excited about the NBA on this show.
Yeah.
I think
we're going to start getting diversified in show content now. Tis the season.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to talk a little more NBA. I think it's been one of the quietest summers we've ever had.
Yeah. Woj was the biggest news.
It was. And Celtics or Knicks?
I'm going to go Knicks.
I think the Knicks are better. And I think the Knicks are better because now they can match defense with Boston.
Yeah. And I think the reason I took less on Brunson's 27.5 is I think the Knicks have more ways to beat you now. And so Brunson doesn't have to put up 30 a night for them to win. Brunson's going to be much more of a playmaker, facilitator. He'll score still. He'll be more than 20, but I just don't think he's going to be 28, 30.
I think the Knicks are better because I'm still not convinced that, and I'm trying to be measured in my words. I'm not convinced Jason Tatum's a superstar, even though he's the highest paid player in the history of the NBA. I am not convinced that he's an iconic championship level player. I think that there was a Sports Center feature this morning on how much his Olympic experience was because Steve Kerr hates him. And I say that's not what happened. I think Jason Tatum wasn't better than Devin Booker on most nights. And obviously I'm a huge Devin Booker fan. But I think Jason Tatum, if he truly fixed whatever that broke-ass shooting motion he used to have is, that big hesitation at the top, if he did fix that, and there's all kinds of talk about how he fixed it, and he's, okay, show me.
Yeah.
Show me that Rudy Gobert can hit 3-pointers. We see it every offseason, right? Like we see it every offseason.
Ben Simmons.
Show me that Ben Simmons is ready to play, which they say he's in the best shape of his career. Show me that Jason Tatum fixed that stroke.
Yeah.
If he fixed his stroke and you grow up, if he can shoot the 3 with a little more consistency, okay, we can have that conversation. But Jaylen Brown is why the Celtics won that championship.
Yeah.
His defense is specifically why they won that championship.
And Al Horford.
Well, Al Horford seems to be in the right place at the right time all the time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thomas Reed, I guess it's just me. I played golf one time and found it the most agitating recreational activity I've ever experienced. Applaud those that like it, but not for me. Dude, I love it. These guys have not paid for PXG for some time. Are you crazy?
Yeah, I paid for all my clubs with my own cash.
What are you talking about?
If you think that we're talking about PXG because we somehow get free clubs,
or they pay us to talk about PXG,
they don't. I went to PXG because I thought it was a little bit more value for the money you're going to spend. Because if you're getting clubs, you're going to spend several thousand either way.
Yeah.
I just felt like, I like, number one, I like the way their stuff looks a little more than other stuff on the market. And I had hit a couple other clubs from other manufacturers, Titleist, Ping, all the usual suspects, whatever. And then we tried PXG and I was like, yeah, these feel nice. I like them, and I've had my bag for 2 seasons now. There's wear and tear on my clubs and they still perform really well. And I would probably, to your point, I would probably get new wedges only for next season, just because I love their wedges, and fresh wedges from PXG are really, really good. But yeah, I haven't gotten anything for free from PXG.
Yeah.
So
I'm with that. Geoff, do people still use Androids? I don't think so. I think Android phones are a thing of the past. Somebody don't tell my wife that, because I think if she had her way, she'd still be in a note. She loved that damn phone. Sir Bob Lob, Phoenicians and Arizonans in Arizona. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Force Coast Fabio, someone should start an account and just bet against Jake and Monty. But feel free.
Knock yourself out, dude.
Feel free. There's a reason the house wins. So please bet against the house. Geoff, so you'll cover hockey too? Yes. Not that team, because Abravanel Hall is more important than a hockey game.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to speak on the Utah Hockey Club and, your support or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed to do that, so I won't be speaking on it.
Yeah, we don't. Hey, take it easy.
I don't do that. Yeah, so
he's got no class.
Yeah. Go Leafs, go. Sir Bob Lob says, go Hawks. Well. Look who's back.
Well.
Yeah, we'll move on. I love potato wedges, dude. My wife made some potato wedges last night that are, Deliric. So no, we pay for your PXGs by watching, subscribing, and hitting the like button. Ding.
Okay, see, now that's a fair take.
Thank you.
That's a fair take.
Jeremy Bolton, people who use Androids put olives and blue cheese on their pizza. Oh, you guys, I did it the other day. I know we're a little off the geometry. I'll get back to the NBA in a second. Because I want to ask you are the Jazz going to get Cooper Flag?
Bro, can you please use the proper noun? Are they going to capture the flag?
Please, God, tell me you just made that up, and tell me that that's not what Jazz fans are saying.
I didn't. That's not my line. That is what Jazz fans are saying. I did not make that up. I did not make that up, dude. That's not my line. Are they going to capture the flag?
Do you guys just eat whatever Ryan Smith feeds you?
Here I am.
Stop it. I lost my train of thought. Pizza. Mrs. Monty and I have been talking about pizza for months and months, because you guys know I don't eat fast food.
Right.
Generally, I'll have a burger every couple of months, maybe. So we went to the pie. We voted. We filled out our ballots. There's the city hall in the town where I live is right next to a pie pizza. I got a thin crust sausage and onion from the pie. That was so good. That was so good. So good. Jeremy Bolton, LOL, capture the flag. Nice.
Again, and just for the record, that's not my line. I'm not taking credit for that. And I don't want to hear that I did, because I'm not. That is straight Jazz Twitter people coming up with that.
Eric and Raleigh, time to fire Jake from the show into the sun.
Yeah,
Capture the... Okay. I can't anymore. I cannot anymore get down with this nonsense about if I swear to God. The Jazz are going to be bad. Let's just be very clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz are going to be bad. You've made no moves and spent no money to upgrade this team. They're not going to be good. And here's the ultimate question I have for everybody in the NBA and for Utah Jazz fans. Do you understand how much trouble you're in if you win games? You have a top 10 protected pick in this draft. And I think you're in real trouble if you win too many games. So Lauri Markkanen's going to be dealing with knee soreness all season long. At some point, I would assume they would trade Jordan Clarkson for like a box of towels. But you cannot play the veterans on this team right now. And it's what we've talked about all summer. How do you justify not trading Lauri Markkanen? That's the biggest question that I have.
Mm-hmm.
How do you justify paying Lauri Markkanen when you are trying to capture the flag? which is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they justify it by saying, yeah, we because the argument of, hey, did the Jazz spend money in the offseason is, I think, very clear. I would agree they haven't spent money this offseason. Now, did they extend? And it's not Lowry, it's Lowry marketing, as we were corrected several months ago. So did they extend Lowry? Yeah, they did. They did. But what were they going to do? Just let him walk away? Were they going to just let him just leave the squad for nothing? Well, of course not. So, of course, you were going to extend him. So I don't personally categorize that as spending money on this roster. You did what you were supposed to do with Lowry. So to me, I look at this and I say, yeah, the penalty for winning games this season is heavy. And that's why I don't expect the Jazz to go out and win a lot of games or to try to win games. And I also think that when we talk about Will Hardy, we need to ask the question, is Will Hardy and the coaching staff on the same page as the front office? Because if they're on the same page, you will see a lot of the young guys worked in. You won't see, 80% of the first quarter be the starters. You'll see maybe 50 to 40% of that first quarter be the starters, right? Get to the under 6 timeout or whatever. Get to 7-8 minutes left. And, then we're going to bring in the young guys and they're going to play the rest of the way and then start the process over in the second quarter. That's what I would expect to see out of the rotations. But everybody crucified us. Everybody said, oh, you guys hate the Jazz. You don't know anything about the Jazz. You're a Lakers show. When we said, hey, Walker Kessler is on the trade block. And then it was reported that Walker Kessler was on the trade block this offseason. So I guess my point here is that they haven't spent money to upgrade this roster. And it's okay to be bad as long as you execute the plan while you're bad. You can't be bad and then win too many games and then not go and get Cooper Flag.
Well, in this top 10 protected pick, if they end up picking 1 through 10, they keep their pick. Because remember, this is the Derek Favors trade.
Right.
They get a top 10 protected pick. If they finish 11 through 30, they lose their first round pick this year. So how many wins is that?
Well,
is that 20 wins?
I mean, let's look at last season's.
Is that 30 wins? Certainly is too many. It is certainly too many. And if you do look at 2023-24 and you look at how many wins, it's the Portland Trailblazers 21-61, or the San Antonio Spurs 22-60. Or the Detroit Pistons, 14-68.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington Wizards, 15-67. And you start to understand that you cannot, in my opinion, you cannot have a situation where this team ends up winning 30 games. I don't think you can have a situation where this team ends up winning 20 games.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it's good business. And I look at this and I'm just sitting here saying, like, hey man, the worst teams in the league last year, the Pistons were the worst team and won 14 games. That's 68 losses. And you start to mess around with this and you're like, okay, well, if 20 is the number as an example, that means that you're one of the 4. Last season, you would have been one of the 4 worst teams. Like you said, Portland only had 21 wins last year. They were tied with Charlotte at 21 wins.
Yeah.
Which only made you the 3rd or 4th worst team in the league. So that's why I'm saying, like, if the mission is to go out and get, a top 5 pick again, which I would be down with. For the record, I would be fine with that. Go out. I understand you're supposed to be bad. You're supposed to be behind the draft. I'm not criticizing the Jazz for this, but what I will criticize you for, if we're 20 games in and you've won too much already, if you're pacing for 35, 40 wins, 20 games in, yeah, I'm going to criticize this team and this organization because you should not be on that pace. You should be, to your point, knee sorenessing, Lowry. You should be saying, hey, no back-to-backs. Like this whole no back-to-back things for guys like Joel and these guys across the league. Everyone's criticizing them for that. I would love to hear that out of the Jazz. No back-to-backs for Markkanen. No back-to-backs for this guy or that guy.
We have to protect him.
We have to protect him,
but
we also have to protect the interests of this organization.
Because we're trying to capture the flag.
Yeah. So when
hate that
Jazz
so
fans, and this is something that I didn't forget about last season from Jazz fans on our show, Jazz fans were upset that we were critical of the team, that we were critical of Ryan, that we were critical of what they did last year. And all I'm saying is, hey, if you're going to sit here and not spend money and leave cap space on the table, then that tells me you're by doing that, you're saying we're going to be a bad team this year so we can be high in the draft. Okay, cool. We've seen that work.
Then be bad.
Then be bad.
Be the Detroit Pistons
Don't
bad.
sell me on, new building, hockey club, team's going to be amazing. Come out and buy hot dogs that are $3.
Chewy Gonzalez, Jazz are not getting flagged. Once again, another wasted opportunity.
We'll see. That's the conversation.
Okay. K. Nurin, my family voted on Sunday. I like it. I love it. Delaric, no, Jake, you brought it to the show, so it's your fault.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I can get down with that.
Brandon Butler, in the pooper for Cooper. Is that better?
Wow, bro. Wow.
In the pooper for Cooper.
Hot ass.
Wow.
That is
bro.
better. Be Dookie for the Dookie. I like in the
pooper for Cooper is incredible.
You do like in the okay. Tanner Plummer's daddy. Who wins more games, the Jazz or the Bulls? You better hope it's the Bulls.
Yeah.
And it will be because they're not, Duck season. Utah Jazz are so bad. They're not good. They're not good. We'll see. Are the New York Knicks the best team in the NBA? And I'd remind you that these New York Knickerbockers got Mikal Bridges because, again, the Jazz tried from it. They didn't try for Mikal Bridges. And then they went and traded for Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest question to bear here is, does that make the New York Knicks the best team in the NBA? We'll talk about that in 15 seconds.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Insurance companies don't always play fair, but we can keep them in check. Most cases settle out of court, but we'll take your case to trial if necessary. You deserve an advocate.
Clear, risk-free advice is what you get when you go to theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. 24/7, 365. And on your time, anytime. You can chat with one of the best injury attorneys in the business, and it won't cost you a dime because you do not pay the advocates a penny unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. Are the New York Knicks the best team in the NBA? Listen, I think that we've talked a lot about this with Leon Rose and Danny Ainge and just about every other executive in this league. Leon Rose is not going to quit until he gets what he thinks that team needs. And if they need more than Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns to compete for a championship, I don't know what else you do, because I believe that the New York Knicks are now set up to compete for an NBA championship because they can compete with anybody defensively. And obviously in this league, it's about staying healthy. And the night of tip-off, let's assume everybody stays healthy. I don't see in an Eastern Conference where finesse is becoming more and more the style of game. I don't see anybody in this conference that can grind and compete with the New York Knicks. I think Mikal Bridges was the most important acquisition of the offseason. And listen, Karl Anthony Towns, really talented player. Mikal Bridges does it all. He can shoot the three. He can get to the rack. He can make free throws. And he is a dog defensively. Jake, I think the New York Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and I do believe they can compete for an NBA championship.
Yeah, I agree that they can compete for an NBA championship, but I don't agree they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I think that we do this every single offseason. We did it with Kyrie and Luka last year, and they tanked the beginning of the year and had to grind it out and figure out how to play together. And I think this DiVincenzo situation, where he's left the Knicks now, he got traded obviously, and they made these moves and everything. Like, the Knicks have a better roster. There's no question about it. Last year, you were 14 games behind the Celtics, and it's mostly because the Celtics were 37-4 at home last year, and you couldn't beat them on their floor. So this year, yes, with the defensive additions, with the added talent, you should be able to win some of those games at TD Garden. But I'm not going to sit here and crown these guys the best team in the Eastern Conference until they show us that they can come together and play good basketball, not individual basketball, good team basketball that can beat the Boston Celtics with more regularity. That said, if they show us they can do that, if they do come together, if they do play team basketball, they will contend for an NBA championship.
But is it fair to compare the Knicks and the Dallas Mavericks of last year? I mean, I think chemistry is a real thing, and I feel like the Dallas Mavericks never had chemistry. I feel like the overwhelming majority of NBA talent, and again, this is just my opinion, I feel like the overwhelming majority of NBA talent can play on any team. I think any guy in this league can pretty much, any top 8 player on a roster can play on any roster in the NBA. The difference is, can you get along at a level where you can win a championship? That was a question, in my opinion, with the Suns last year. I think that is a question with the LA Lakers this year.
Miami.
I think the Miami Heat, Pat Riley sending a shot over their bow yesterday. Like, I think that's a question in a lot of places. I don't think it's a question with the Knicks. I think the Tibbs thing with DiVincenzo that's a DiVincenzo problem. There is no executive in this league who is like, man, do I want Karl Anthony Towns? Well, not if I got to give up Dante DiVincenzo. Yeah, I'll do that deal every single day, every day. And it was not a good deal. It was a coup to get Karl Anthony Towns at that late hour out of Minnesota. Absolutely. I think, who's saying no to that trade?
I don't think anyone's saying no to it. But my point is that I make the comparison to Dallas because every single year we do this, like I said, in the offseason. Hey, big acquisition, a lot of talents together. What good did it do you? We've seen it with the Clippers year after year after year after year. They can never figure it out. Now, what needs to be said, and I'm more than happy to say this, that grouping of those specific players should be able to mesh pretty easily. Their games are complementary of each other. There's a clear pecking order on the totem pole of like, hey, this is Brunson's team. Obviously Cat's going to be a key contributor for them. And then everyone else can kind of fit in around those two, which would be their natural roles on any team, right? Mikal Bridges has always been a complementary player to the 1 and the 2 guy, a guy that plays defense, knocks down the corner 3, and supports your efforts rather than being a 1 or a 2. So that's a natural role for him. It's a perfect fit. So I do think that they're going to be a very good team. But when we talk about beating Boston, a team that's already together, a team that's won a championship together, a team that has that experience and has won those games, I think we need to not discount that so much. I think that we need to see what, again, in the NBA, the first 20 games, is this team playing 600 basketball the first 20 games together? If you're playing 600 basketball your first 20 games, I'm inclined to think that that'll uptick to 700 basketball. You're from 20 games to 40 games. That's what I'm going to be looking for with the Knicks.
Well, and I think the West is much more difficult. I still believe, because I think Oklahoma City is very good. I think that team is, and we'll see what their build looks like and how they all come together. And they're going to be unbelievable defensively. I think it's going to be very hard to score points on OKC. And I think they learned that lesson last year. And I think you don't have the Josh Giddey situation hanging over your head this year. And so I think you're in a much better place. And I think Oklahoma City is actually going to be good this year. I think this is going to come down to who in the West. And if I look at the championship odds, don't forget about Denver. But Denver's odds are longer than Minnesota. And Minnesota's plus 1,000. I don't see how you have Minnesota ahead of Dallas. And who knows what Klay Thompson is.
Yeah. You want to talk about having a prove it year.
This is a major prove-it year.
Yeah.
You turned down the Lakers to go to the Mavericks, and you said it was all about a championship. Well, Luka and Kyrie showed that they had no chemistry last year, and they needed somebody to knock down a drive and kick 3. Well, Klay Thompson still can do that. Can he defend at a high level? I don't know. Can he drive and kick at a high level? He didn't show that the last 2 years.
No.
Is Klay Thompson a guy that can stand in the corner or at the elbow and knock it down? Yes, he is still that guy. Does that make them a better team than they have been previously? I don't know. I also tend to look at Phoenix. I think approve it your boy in Phoenix.
Yep.
Kevin Durant.
Well, I think that the reality is he's running out of time. I think that I don't think that Kevin Durant's just got to prove one more thing, and that's that he can win a championship after Golden State. It's the only thing left for him. He's a gold medalist. He's an NBA champion. He's done everything that you would want to do in the NBA, right? Maybe he hasn't set the minutes record like LeBron or the points record, but I think as far as an NBA career is concerned, Kevin Durant's one of the best players the game's ever seen. So you can hate on the guy. You can say that, okay. Well, the reality is he's one of the best players the game has ever had. And I agree with everybody who says, hey, this guy's got to prove that he can win a championship in a different organization with a different set of players. And yeah, I do think, again, looking at the standings, the Phoenix Suns with that roster being 49 wins is embarrassing. That's absolutely trash.
And to his credit, Brad Beal, the last probably 15 games last year was much better. He's going to have to show that he can be a guy.
And I think the Phoenix Suns are another case study of what I'm talking about with the Knicks. The Phoenix Suns threw talent together around Book, and we're like, hey, figure it out.
Man, I disagree with that. I think the Knicks are deeper. I think their talent is much more flexible because it's spread out across positions. I mean, you brought in a big in Cat, you brought in a wing in Mikal Bridges that fit into what you're doing. Don't forget that they still have Josh Hart. Like I think OG.
Most notably, I don't know if people saw, Josh Hart had said he's trying to figure out what his role on the team is.
Yeah, he did.
He said that. So that'll be interesting. That's what I'm saying. Like, I like Josh Hart a lot, but the reality is he was the center of last year's team. He was right in the middle of that thing, and he's not going to be that this year.
Well, and I think OG's got to stay healthy for them because he's a phenomenal defender. Like, I think they have talent spread across positions. I think the Phoenix Suns have three guys who do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. And
that concerns me. I think the Lakers should be a much better team this year now that Bronny's going to come in and win the NBA Rookie of the Year and the MVP. He's not.
Hot ass.
I think that team should be better because they're going to still be one of the best defensive teams. I just don't know that they can stay healthy enough because I don't think Anthony Davis is a guy that you can count on to play 75 games again.
Agreed.
And if I'm the Lakers, am I going to play LeBron on back-to-backs? Probably not.
No.
Because why would I? I wouldn't. G off. Peace out, casuals. MLB is scripted. Have a good one. I'm super stoked for the World Series.
Best World Series we've had in some time.
I'm legit excited. I am. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I really am. Let's see. Brad Adams. Will there ever be an NBA team in Seattle again? Oh, I think the Sonics will be back.
Yeah,
I think they are. Duck season. Sam Presti's awesome. Trading Giddey for Caruso. That's a crazy
That's a
steal.
bad deal by the Bulls, and it's a great deal if you're Presti. I completely agree with you, man.
Did you see the Bulls also didn't give he who likes them young a fifth-year extension? They did not sign Josh Giddey to an extension.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting to see. Nick says if the NBA expands, Seattle is next. I would agree with that.
Seattle or Vegas? Vegas is getting one.
I think Seattle.
Yeah.
Don't you have to wait until LeBron retires to do Las Vegas?
Agree. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because I think that's his retirement gift. Honest to God, I've heard it so many times that he will be not gifted. He will be given the opportunity to own the franchise in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Minority or majority, that remains to be seen. But he'll get the Tom Brady deal in Las Vegas, where he doesn't have to put a whole lot of liquidity into that. Jeremy Bolton, anyone who trades for Caruso is making a terrible deal. Okay.
Sure.
That's a long-running gimmick on this show. You know, it is. Nick says, as a Blazer fan, I miss the Supersonics. I think we all miss the Supersonics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what they did to the Sonics and the fraud that was perpetrated against that town by, and I'm not even going to say his name, in Oklahoma City, I think is terrible. Terrible. Brandon Butler, Seattle and Vegas the same year, then J2H's prognostication of Minnesota to the east comes true.
Well,
I think this is true.
You know,
17 years ago, Jake misspoke and said that Minnesota was in the East, and he's never lived it down, which is
hold on, bro. Like,
still amazing. Duck season. I think the Rockets could make a splash at the trade deadline. Dude, the Rockets are legitimately good.
Jalen's deal, though, first of its kind. Like, player option after the second year, 3-year max. Like, that's a good deal by his agents. That's a really good deal.
They finished. I'm quite curious. What is their max? Are they a 50-win team this year? They were 41-41 last year, right down the middle.
Yeah.
I think they're a 50-win team this year.
I think that guys like Jalen Green and their development is the only question you need to be focused on in Houston. He is somebody who is so talented. I mean, just raw talent for days, like athleticism, like killer instinct, everything you want. Just got to keep developing them. Got to keep improving shot selection.
Yeah.
You know, got to keep improving situational awareness of when to push it, when to run the offense. Like, those are little things within his game that sometimes you're like, damn, dude, like that wasn't a great decision to take that flashy 3 off the wing there. You know, let's work the ball a little more. Let's try to find a better look for you, better matchup. And those are the things that in Houston, you know, I think limited them to being a 500 club last year. But this year, I think, to your point, can allow them to reach 50 wins.
If you look at, like, who's Golden State? No extension for Kuminga, but you signed Steph Curry to a massive deal.
Because he's earned that.
Who is Memphis with Ja back, with, you know, Perdunk guy?
How good of a job has Ja Morant done disappearing?
Really good. He should have done that 2 years ago.
I agree.
But Jaren Jackson didn't sign a contract extension and can't until the finals are over now.
Yeah.
He's a centerpiece of that team. Where does Jimmy Butler end up?
Not in Miami, I can tell you that.
Does he end up in Houston?
Yeah, that's a deadline deal, in my opinion. He will get moved.
He has about $100 million left. Oh, that will be owed. He's got a $52 million player option next year. He's picking that up. You know, like, I mean, and I think the other guy that's going to get traded is Brandon Ingram. I don't know what New Orleans is doing. He's eligible for the $208 million extension, and they haven't done it.
Can't do it.
You wouldn't have done it.
No, not on Brandon Ingram.
But you signed DeJounte Murray, and then you extended Trey Murphy, and you're not going to do Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I think DeJounte Murray is a more impactful player.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I am fascinated to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that if Houston is serious about 50 wins, I think you're going to see them go get a veteran. I think you're going to go see them find, because they're stacked. I know that it's all on paper and it's like, okay, well, who's in the Y's and the, but if you look at on paper, if you look at a 41-41 team from last year, and you look at this starting 5, Van Vliet, Jalen, Dillon Brooks, Jabari Smith, and Sengun.
Yeah.
And nobody, I think, probably appreciates Alperen Sengun the way I do. I think he's a phenomenal player. And then you back that up with a guy like Steven Adams, Reed Shepherd, Aaron Holiday. You need a dog in that starting 5, in my opinion. You need somebody that can put Dillon Brooks on the bench.
Yeah. And
I think that could be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I think that could be Jimmy Butler. And if you can find a way, because I still think, you know, Amin Thompson, Jayshawn Tate, guys like Reed Shepherd, those are all solid contributors. Not spectacular, but those are all solid contributors.
Here's a hot take that I heard in NBA land over the offseason. If Bronny James wasn't in the league being as bad as he is, being as undeveloped as he is, would the Thompson twins or other draft picks of last year's draft be regarded as busts so far after their first season? And I think it's a really fascinating perspective, because I don't think that the Thompson twins have been good, not terrible, not great, just good. So for Houston, you know, I look at it and, Ammon's been, again, solid for a rookie.
62 games, 22 minutes a game.
I mean, he's contributed for them, but at where you drafted him, it's kind of suspect.
But I also look at Portland, and I think Portland's a very interesting club. Like Scoot Henderson.
I think he's lived up to it largely. I think he plays on a bad team, in a rebuilding organization. He's not going to have a lot of opportunity to create a ton of assists because his team is just not very good.
Yeah, I like Detroit. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey.
They should be better.
Asur Thompson.
They should be better.
You think Asur Thompson, you would call him a bust. 63 games, 25 minutes, 8 points, 6 boards, 2 dimes.
I wouldn't say he's a bust, but I don't think he's
5th pick overall.
Yeah, I don't think he's living up to the 5th pick overall. I mean,
you can't shoot
overall.
You can't shoot 17.9% from 3.
Yeah, I mean, 5th pick overall should be 15 points a night. Like,
he's just such a kid. They're both so young.
Like 8, 9.
Do you guys understand the Thompson twins were born in 2003?
Yeah, bro. Like,
I'm so old.
What are they, 21?
21.
Like,
so old. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Are the Detroit Pistons ever good? Like, Tobias Harris is an interesting ad there. Like, I don't know. Are they ever good? Is Charlotte ever good? Is LaMelo Ball a
Charlotte's
bust?
coming around. No, I don't think he's a bust at all.
No, of course he's not. But can he stay healthy? Your LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, actually, I think has been better than people thought he would be.
He's been good.
Right? Josh Green, Miles Bridges, like Cody Martin's actually turned into a player. So I don't know. I think bust is strong over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Are you, if you are, if you're the Indiana Pacers, is Tyrese Halliburton the guy that's going to take you home? Is that the guy that's going to restore the glory?
He'll take you to the playoffs.
I think that's a really interesting question.
Championship, not so sure.
Sacramento. What about Sacramento without De'Aaron Fox signing an extension? Did not sign an extension. Like DeMar DeRozan going to Sacramento. Shouldn't they be significantly better this year than they were last year?
Yeah,
with Keegan Murray and DeMar and
De'Aaron. They were 46 and 36 last year.
Short of fit, and I think
50's the number.
50's a good team.
Yeah.
50's a good team.
Just for perspective, and this is league-wide, starting in the Western Conference, and just to put this in perspective for how much better the West is than the East, the Western Conference had 5 50-plus win teams. You had Dallas, the Clippers, the Wolves, the Nuggets, and the Thunder. The Eastern Conference, the only 50-win-plus teams were the Knicks and the Celtics. So, should they be a 50-win team? Yeah, you would think so. DeMar should add 4 wins, yeah.
But look at the Clippers. Brand new building. Kawhi Leonard out indefinitely.
Yeah.
Paul George in Philly. That knee,
Nar.
There's a still shot. Did I send that to you?
Yeah, you did.
There's a still shot of Paul George's hyperextended knee.
Yeah.
But look at the Clippers. Bust. That whole thing was a bust.
Yeah.
So.
But their owner paid for their building. Give them credit.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. Brandon Butler. Steph getting the Kobe retirement tour. Oh, is Herder's back in the comments section?
Yeah, he's right there.
Look at you. I don't want to talk about it, but you guys can stop talking about the Utes now.
So you do want to talk about it.
So wait, where was all the BS talk about Oak State pounding BYU? And come into the comments section and give intelligent, well thought out takes, and you won't be herders.
By the way, herders, if you came in and you listened to what we said today and yesterday, quite frankly, we did exactly what we said we would do about Utah. Because that's your red ass take as usual.
You got to write them off at 3 losses.
It's over. We said it's over. It's done.
Duck season. It may be on paper. They've got some good young pieces who are great role players. Don't forget about Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
Cam's got to establish himself now.
Yeah.
Like he's got to turn into more a bigger presence on the floor. He's got to be a consistent contributor on that team.
Yeah.
He's got to be a consistent contributor. Shouty, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Duck season, Fox is eligible for a Supermax if he makes an All-NBA team next season. That's why he declined. And I think it was smart to decline. But still in all, he didn't sign it.
Right in with that in mind, Duck season. And it's so nice to actually have a decent conversation with you because your reputation on the show is being a hater on college football. So it's nice that you're actually being reasonable today.
I agree.
De'Aaron and the Kings are in a nice spot because you're right. De'Aaron does have an incentive to play really good basketball and have a baller season.
Huge.
And that's exactly what a team needs to go out and improve.
Shouty, shake my head. Okay. My biggest worry right now is Taylor Hendricks is going to be a bust. Tons of potential, but the kid is so raw, he may not get there.
Well, but again, Brandon, bring us back to our main concern the last 3 seasons for the Utah Jazz. Developing your talent. Like this doesn't, the buck doesn't stop at Butler. The buck doesn't stop at, Hendricks.
But why are you trying to trade Walker Kessler?
Don't know.
Because they are still open to trading Walker Kessler. I don't know. My opinion is he should be starting over Taylor. Oh, wait. No, he shouldn't because you're trying to lose games. You're trying to lose games. And I'm just going to go back to, can Cody Williams shoot the 3 at an NBA level?
Or will they develop him into that guy?
I don't know. I agree with you. Taylor Hendricks is a problem. I actually like what Bryce Sensabaugh is turning into.
Yeah.
I think he is solid. But if you can trade John Collins, I mean, you're trying to trade Walker Kessler.
I don't understand why you wouldn't get rid of Clarkson at this point. Like you've got Collier sitting there waiting to develop, and
don't forget Keontae George isn't a point guard in this league.
Yeah, not a number one
manager. But that's just me. It's fine. Trade Caruso. Mayor McCluskey has now gone to trade Caruso. Jazz should just get Caruso and totally tank the capture the flag.
Yeah.
The stadium guy, James, for the record, I picked BYU to win. Of course you did. I said that Okie State would play some young guys and that would help. And that happened.
You know what, James? You're right, dude.
You
right. Got it right.
I mean,
you got it right. And I really appreciate you confirming what you reported on Friday from the IPF. Thank you.
I'm just one question.
You're a homer is the first part.
I should not do this, but I'm gonna. One question. Why did Rodney Fields get 8 carries? He's a true freshman, and you never said they were going to play young running backs.
What really do we have to lose?
You were all in on the fact that Josh Ford, you don't even know who Josh Ford is, you prick. Okay. So they played the young guys. Josh Ford had 1 catch for 5 yards. Why did they play Rodney Fields? Why'd they play him? Because Garrett Rangel got hurt, and then Ollie Gordon was in and out of the lineup. And he did fine. He averaged 4.8 yards a carry, 8 carries, 38 yards. Fine. He missed 2 massive run cutback lanes.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and talk about how they played young guys, but did they really play young guys? I mean, Garrett Rangel, is Garrett Rangel still a young guy? He's a sophomore.
He's been around, bro. He's not. Yeah.
You know who Garrett Rangel is.
Yeah. I mean, I told you Friday that the guy was going to run all over the place to try to survive in this game, and that's exactly what he did.
Did you, my question is, what happened to your wide receivers? Your balls fall off? What happened to your wide receivers? And I agree you spread the football around, but let's
schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Mile High Phil, Cody Williams made a mistake coming out early. He needed another year to develop, and he was a stud in college.
And I agree with you, dude.
I agree.
But again, make no mistake about this, because I want to make sure we're on the same page about the narrative with Cody Williams. The narrative is not that he sucks or he's a terrible player or like Like, that's not the narrative at all. The narrative is this cat's elite in transition. This guy has got length for days, and they need to develop his 3-point game to open up the floor for him and the rest of the guys he's on the floor with. Now, again, and this is not controversial. I am not the only one who says this. The Jazz do not develop their guys. There is a track record a mile long of not developing guys. So will you develop them? I don't know. David Fizdale is not there anymore. So
hasn't been now for a year.
Like you got rid of the best developmental coach in the organization, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. The problem is no one can trade under the new CBA. The Jazz are stuck till the trade deadline. But you had all summer. You went out of your way to talk about how.
But why didn't they make any trades? Oh, that's right. You were busy with your new toy. That's right.
I agree. Trade Caruso. All I care about is Upper Deck Breakdown chat and the current status of the IPF for Montana State. Oak State James, Stadium Guru.
The IPF.
Ted 00 Tater Adams. For the record, Ollie Gordon actually looked like a running back, a real running back.
Nice of him to show up.
And I would have loved to see him get more carries. He only got 16. The problem is he was injured. And Ollie Gordon, am I the only one who sees him like throwing punches in the pile? Am I the only one that sees him jaw-jacking at other guys? Like, Oak State's a mess right now. You guys need this season to end.
Yeah.
I think. Brandon Butler, Jazz are taking it in the face for Ace. Okay. Wow.
Well, okay. So what's better? What was the first one? Get in the pooper for Cooper.
I think that might be the one. The Tater man. What's up, Tater? Speaking of running backs, there isn't a team that Devin Neal can't run for 100 yards on. Even when you stack the box, he still gets his yards. He's a baller. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Shouty. Texas got beat. Shake my head. Throw trash into the field. SEC finds Texas for what they against Georgia. Texas 6-1. I still think Texas is one of the elite teams in the country. I took such a ration of BS on this show yesterday for saying that they are still the most talented team in the country. They've lost one game. Sark's got to make a quarterback decision. I give Quinn Ewers one more start. And if he sputters, I'm out. You've got national championship aspirations here.
Yeah.
So, UW fan Jim. I'm just a Washington fan, but I took Georgia by 10 based on my belief that Sark struggles in big games.
Great.
Then that, which is not proven in my opinion. If Ollie Gordon didn't go down, dude would have had 300 yards at BYU. He's a beast. He is, and he takes it personal with BYU.
And I don't understand why BYU wasn't more prepared to stop him. Like that's all you have to do against Oklahoma State, and you're going to win the ball game. And you didn't do it. And I don't understand. Again, as I said earlier, I love Jay Hill. I love that defensive staff. I think they've done a phenomenal job this year. Defense plays with a lot of energy, typically in the right spot at the right time. But I did not, for the life of me, understand why you were only running 2 linebackers and why you were running 5 DBs constantly. Don't understand it. Don't understand why you thought that was the right play. Why are we not running 3 linebackers? Why are we not running single high safety? And why are we not forcing Garrett Rangel to throw the football on us? That I was very much confused about.
Yeah, I yeah. Don't even.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's in my opinion is. I think there were so many mistakes by BYU. I think there were so many mistakes by Texas. I think Alabama, I still to this day, and if anybody wants to help me understand it, because I know I don't know ball at all.
Right.
If somebody wants to make me understand what Jalen Milroe was looking at, that'd be awesome. Because I have no idea what he was looking at. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what he's looking at on those throws. What's your opinion on Bronco Mendenhall and the job he's done at New Mexico. I mean, Bronco's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
I think
BYU wouldn't be where they are without him.
I would agree with that. I don't think they'd be in the Big 12 without him.
Yeah.
But is New Mexico? I don't know that. What is New Mexico trying to do? If we're being committed to what New Mexico is 3-4. Their losses are to Fresno State, Auburn, Arizona, and Montana State. Their wins are New Mexico State, Air Force, and Utah State. I mean, I think Bronco's doing the job that needs to be done. I don't know what off the top of my head. I don't know what his career record there is yet. But the thing is, Bronco is not somebody that turns it around like in a hurry. Like all of a sudden you're going to be an elite team. He is, in my opinion, let's see, career record for Bronco Mendenhall. Bronco's 138-85. So he's a good head coach.
Yeah.
It's year one. I don't think he's going to turn it around in year one. I would assume you guys would wind up in a bowl game. Well, I'm assuming you're a New Mexico fan. But you've got at Colorado State. Wyo's not a good team this year. San Diego State, Washington State, at Hawaii. I mean,
Colorado State's the best team you got left.
Yeah, he's done okay.
Yeah.
BYU isn't where they are without Bronco. I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe busted a Jalen Milroe. He's a run-first QB. Pressuring him to throw first in that situation was asking for a pick. I don't disagree with that. He's got to show it. Now he's got to start over again. I think Jay Hill makes the adjustment for UCF to account for their running back, all thanks to Ollie Gordon. I'm a big fan of Gordon. He's really fun to watch. Me too.
And I think that right now, RJ Harvey is a better back right now. I think RJ Harvey's healthier. I think RJ Harvey is playing with a point to prove. And I think UCF now doing this quarterback change and going away from KJ, they've got that energy and that enthusiasm that a quarterback change brings you. And that's why I think this is a dangerous game for BYU, man. You got to be careful in this one.
I think that you better just stop the run.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You have got to sell out to stop the run. And if you do that, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I think it is, we all want our teams to do certain things. BYU needs to create turnovers on defense. It's as simple as that. I think you have to hope that somehow, because UCF just with this kid is so young and so raw and so
they are going to run the football a lot.
That's what I think you have to go with that. I do. RJC man, can you mention Desmond Reed is best all-purpose back? Well, if he was, I would, but he's not. So I'm not gonna. Yeah. I mean, Pitt's having a great year, and he's a good running back. He's not the best all-purpose back in the country, in my opinion. I would take Ollie. I think Ollie Gordon is just a good. I think he's a better runner, and I think he catches the ball exceptionally well. I think Taj Brooks is somebody that I have no idea what his top end is because of the system he's in. So I don't know. I think RJ Harvey's a hell of a back. He's a better runner. But Pitt's having a great year. I mean, it's and I think a lot of people want, and I know that we don't have many Pitt fans on the show, but when you look at Pitt, how good is Pitt? What are they, 19th in the country? What's their win this year? And this is me being a red ass. I'm certain of it. Kent State at Cincinnati, West Virginia, Youngstown State at North Carolina and Cal. And your best games, you won by 1 point at Cincinnati. The West Virginia game's a rivalry game. I don't care what you won by, you won. You only beat North Carolina by 10, and that's a bad football team. And then you barely beat Cal. And Syracuse will be interesting. Obviously, I think that game is Thursday. Isn't that game Thursday, I think?
Mm-hmm.
SMU on the road. You should win that game if you're worth your salt. Virginia at Clemson, or home for Clemson at Louisville, Boston College.
Here's my deal with running backs, dude. If you're trying to make a case for best running back in the league, I don't earn college football. You can't just look at total yards because Ginty's not playing anybody. And I love the kid. He's going to play on Sundays. Hell of a talent. But I don't know who you are against power talent. I don't know. Like, I know what you did against Oregon, but Oregon clearly wasn't playing their best football, and now they are. So what would you do against them now? So when I look at best backs, I think there's two right now. And really it's three. It's Scatabo at ASU. It's Taj Brooks at Texas Tech. And it's RJ Harvey at UCF. And I only say it's those three because look at how many attempts they have. Look at how much they're asked to run in the offense, man. I mean, you're looking at Scatabo's got 150 carries this season. Taj Brooks has 149. RJ Harvey is a distant third at 133. So when you're talking about Scatabo being at 150 attempts and averaging 5.7 yards a carry on 150 attempts, that tells me you can do that against pretty much any team. That's what that tells me. That you're playing Big 12 opposition and you can do that against great talent, against power talent. Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, well, man, dude, look at some of these other backs who've got, like, if you just do it by like total yards, like,
you're going to take Ashton Ginty every time.
Right. But like Ginty's at 1,200 yards essentially on only 126 attempts. So we can see the clear difference there. I don't know, man. We want to story tell ourselves about like, oh man, this guy's putting up huge numbers. But when you really need 5 yards out of your back, like who do you want to hand the ball off to? That's my question.
And I think if you look at the running back numbers, I mean, like this is Bryson Daly at Army a guy that you're like, oh, that's the best running back in football? No, that's all they do is run.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you look at RJ Harvey, it's him or Caleb Johnson at Iowa. Why aren't we talking about Caleb Johnson at Iowa? Like, I just don't think that, with all due respect, I don't think that his stats are that great. I don't.
Yeah.
And I think you look at some of his individual performances. I mean, running for 120 yards against Cal is not a small feat. It's not a small feat, but he had one catch for 19 yards. That's not being a great all-around back. I mean, am I being too critical of that?
No.
When you say things like best all-around running back, all-purpose back, are we really that excited about one catch and 19 yards in a close game against Cal? Are we really excited about? You're excited because of the North Carolina game. North Carolina sucks. North Carolina is terrible. They're not good.
No.
His two best games for all purpose came against Cincinnati and North Carolina. I mean, the West Virginia game, he had 11 carries for 26 yards. That's not being a great all purpose back. You know, like that's not, in my opinion, but that's just me. I don't know. Final comment. RJ Harvey, that boy, he won't be at UCF for long. Hot take, next year, Big 12 backs this year will be on SEC or Big 10 rosters. I totally disagree. There's no reason. One, I think Ollie Gordon, either, I don't know, is he NFL eligible after this season? I don't know where he is in years, but he's going to go to the league or he's going to transfer. I would agree he's going to be in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
You're not staying at, why would you stay at Oak State?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
You're going to have massive change at Oak State. There's just, you would not, there's no reason. You're 0-4 and 3-4. You're 0-4 in conference, right? So I don't think there's any reason. Ollie Gordon is a junior. So, and he's not a redshirt. He's a junior. So he could go to the NFL after this year. But my guess is you're not going to rest on your laurels here. This was not a great year.
Yeah.
It's not a great year. So there you have it. The Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. I tell you every single day, man, it's one of the worst days of your life. When you get in an accident and you're looking for an injury attorney, you need quality, risk-free advice at your fingertips. That's what you get at theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. And it won't cost you a dime. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Until tomorrow.
Goodbye, Jake.
Does Bronny score a point tonight?
No.
We'll find out. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.